then I go to the stage, then I will introduce you. After I introduce you, you go on to the front of the stage, and just like last time, then yes, they will be over there. They're just moving in that direction. So just wait a couple of moments for their company. So I'm going to introduce them in a second. No interview. No interview. Just wave at them or do whatever you want to do. And then I get Acer. Yes, it is. Might not be okay with Ryan. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are back. We are about to bring you the next game of the tournament. That's going to be Crs versus Acer. Both teams are ready. They are backstage. Tak więc zaraz zaczynamy. Crs z polską drużyną Acer będzie grał. So let's introduce onto the stage the team that just defeated SK Gaming in a fairly convincing fashion. Give a big round of applause. Proszę o duży aplauz for Team Crs. And of course, on the other side, what I hope to be is the crowd favorite. Tak więc po drugiej stronie już czekają Polacy. Mam nadzieję, że zgotujecie im troszeczkę gorętsze powitanie. Let's welcome to the stage, Team Acer! So, both teams are ready. Both teams are hungry for blood, at least I hope. So let them get started. Guys, go to your seats, please. Jeszcze raz wielkie brawa dla obu drużyn.
You take it? Cool.
Oj, ja znikam ze sceny, będę oddawał głos komentatorom. So I'm going to disappear from the stage and let's take it to our commentators for this particular match.
Hey guys, welcome back to the commentator booth here. My name is Joe Miller, if you didn't already know. Joining me is the lovely bearded, hairy man. As we called you in rehearsals yesterday,
yes, I was Team Harry.
Team Harry. Is of course Mr. Daniel Zenon Klein. How are you doing, Daniel? This is the first opportunity we've had this this event. I mean, we're only a couple of games in, but still, how are you doing? How's Warsaw treating you? Except the intense sweat, I'm going to call it, rather than heat, because it's more than heat.
Yes, it's the humidity and everything. I don't know, it's been absolutely amazing, Joe. We haven't cast an offline event in a while, I want to say. It's been a while, I think Seabit, I guess, if we even cast that together at Seabit. I've missed you anyway, is the point. We did play we did cast some of the qualifiers together.
Yeah.
That was good. There was a lot of bacon involved in that cast. And I'm so happy to be here. You guys have probably seen it as well. The audience is It's sick, the atmosphere in here. And yesterday I spoke to Karma and asked him, they do have air conditioning here, yeah? And he said, yeah, but it's not calibrated for esports, is what he said.
It's not calibrated for us sweaty nerds in here, that's for sure. And there are lots of us,
yes.
That's for sure. The crowd here so far has been absolutely brilliant. As you can see there, you can't quite see the main stage. Joe Miller.
Really? They did it? Nice.
Really? They really did that?
Yep. Reddit, it is now official. It's been on a Riot stream. You can carry on.
You know how long I've worked to have just Joe Miller? You don't have to put anything in quotation marks, no nickname. How's that working out for you after 8 years?
Yeah, it's not so good, is it?
I'm never going to shake it.
Let's talk about the teams, Joe.
Let's do that. That's more important. We're going to have Crs versus Acer, the two teams which have won their first games. Of course, Acer took down Meet Your Makers in the all-Polish encounter in game number 1. And we just saw Crs taking out SK Gaming in their first game. Wasn't an easy game by any stretch of the imaginations. I'd go ahead and say that the Acer game was pretty easy for Acer against them.
It looked one-sided from the audience.
It looked one-sided. You know, they got off to a good start and they held that good start going through. Obviously, Acer, they've really been doing so amazingly well online recently. They've put some good results, and it looks up until now like they could possibly keep going here on online as well.
And they do have, they're one of the 3 teams actually with the home advantage. There are 3 all Polish teams involved in this event. There's ELO, there's Acer, and there's Meet Your Makers. Meet Your Makers looking a little bit shaky right now. Maybe that was part of the reason also why we decided to bring you this game. But definitely 2 strong Polish teams still running, and these guys, I mean, they can feel the audience here, and I'm sure that cheers them on. That's what they said in the interview as well.
I'm just going to scoot over a little bit because I feel like I'm breaking the camera.
Okay.
I am wide, as you may have
So
noticed,
am I.
so got to get in there. So we're into the bans on the picks, and we can see the first champion banned out here for Crs is Rumble. Let's not forget where we are in terms of patches here on the tournament realm, currently on the Jace patch. And this is probably the patch where Rumble's been at one of his strong points. And as I say, that LoL Pro leaves during Champion Select. Report, LoL Pro.
Report. We actually saw a very strong Rumble from Acer, or as they were called then, still Absolute Legends in the qualifiers. But back then it was Pookie-style playing the top lane. And he played a completely dominating Rumble in those couple of games that we watched. Not going to be Pookie-style this time, it's going to be 760, but 760 is an absolute beast. His Shen in that last game, just game-breakingly good. It's just amazing the work he did, and I am confident that he would do pretty much the same thing if he was given a Rumble, which of course Crs don't want to do. So, alright, Crs are saying 760 only had Rumble runes ready. I think they're trolling us a little bit there.
I'm not sure. We've seen stranger things happen, but I'm pretty sure that's how it was. So Rumble, obviously the first ban for Crs. The thing is, Acer, as you said, we saw Nico playing a great Shen. The question is, will Shen be left open?
Nope.
And as I get my question answered, you know, playing to the story so they can hear me. Malphite banned out as well. We saw that in the last game, SK versus Crs, for a reason. Malphite has, you know, I think we didn't really see much of him up until MLG. And then X-Hazard, obviously standing in for CLG that event, was like, oh, look at this, Malphite is really good. And since then, you know, Malphite's really come back into prominence and has looked so good. And it's no real surprise to see that Malphite is once again banned out. Yorick also banned out by Crs from this one. And I'll apologise now for the almost disco tone of our faces. That's because the lights are going up and down here over at the side. I prefer down because they just add to the sweat factor. And
I like the sweat factor, Joe. Got the final ban. They don't want their bot lane to be shut down. Yep. So it's 4 bans actually aimed at the top lane. 5 champions actually that can play top lane, but I'm going to say the Shyvana ban was probably aimed at a jungle Shyvana. This, however, leaves a couple of things open. It leaves Maluno's Alistar open, which was just so disruptive that last game. And I had somebody sitting next to me. I forget who it was now. It might have been Jaws. He was saying, why would they just leave Alistar open? It's one of the champions that if you are a really strong jungler who likes to gank, it's just the perfect champion for you, right? You can come in from behind the turret, turn on Unbreakable, just walk through the turret, basically go full Honey Badger and CC them. And Maluno is definitely one of these junglers who really doesn't care about farming in the jungle. He just wants to be there. He wants to build the mobility boots. And look, they're listening to me as well. There it is. I am like 99% sure this is going to be a jungle Alistair on Maluno.
I'm going to head and say 1% chance that it's not. But here we go, directly locked in there. Acer not messing around. Orianna, who we saw in the first game as well. And there is the Jax, which is going to be a very, very big threat.
Let me point out a nice synergy between Orianna and Jax. Orianna can put a ball onto Jax, then Jax jumps in, gets the stun off, and the ball pulls them all together as well. It's or the other way around, pulls together, then he stuns, whatever. It's a great interaction.
Either way, it's a double stun.
It is, yeah, it's a double stun and a lot of damage. And we see Ezreal and Nunu locked in for Curse very, very quickly as well. Ezreal and Nunu, not a lane that you generally think of is that strong, but remember, is a double attack speed debuff here, both from the Snowball and from the Essence Flux. And what do we see here on Acer, Joe?
Well, the Tariq Graves. Graves obviously has been, I think the official statistics from MLG were like a 97% pick or ban rate for Graves. He was very, very visible in that tournament. Obviously, a DreamHack that carried through as well. We saw a lot of Graves. We've not seen him in the last game, Curse versus SK. Don't think he was in game number 1 either, if I'm not totally mistaken.
I think there was one Tariq.
Corky. That bottom lane in the first game was Corky versus someone else. Can't remember. My brain, as you guys are already aware, those that are watching at home on the stream, is very much Goldfish-like. But that is going to be the bottom lane locked in there. Tariq and Graves for Acer. The question is now, what are Curse going to polish off their lineup with? Of course, we've got Alistair, who we are most likely going to be seeing in the jungle. There is obviously still that possibility not. And there is the Vladimir last second pick up there by Curse. So we are going to be seeing Vladimir up in this top lane, obviously Morgana in the middle. The question still kind of remains whether it'll be Alistair Ezreal or Nunu Ezreal. I'm probably weighing over towards the fact that the cow will be in the jungle, and as you said, that double attack speed debuff that you've got there from the lane of Ezreal Nunu will probably go in there. And there is Lee Sin, a champion which I'm going to go ahead and say is going to be banned in Group B probably more than anything else. A lot because of diamond procs. Quite frankly, the best Lee Sin player that I think we have in the game.
I see a lot of people actually leaving Lee Sin open to M5, and that's just one of those. And the reason, Joe, I was so silent there for a minute was because I went deep into myself and recalled, of course, flawlessly the picks and bans for game 1.
He definitely went deep into himself /emails and got the picks and bans from earlier.
Well,
calling him out
Corky, it was. I am also a goldfish.
Called
it's true.
out.
Yes.
But yeah, my brain. You guys already know it. Mathematics and memory in the short term, not my strong points. But we have got the lineups all fully in there. So we are going to be seeing for Curse Anguish with Vladimir in the top lane, bottom lane of Ezreal Nunu, Morgana in the middle, and the cow in the jungle. For Acer, of course, we've got Orianna in the middle, bottom lane of Graves Tariq, Lee Sin in the jungle, and Jax up in this top lane. Question is now, Mr. Klein, who is your favourite coming into this one?
I really like Curse's lineup. I really think Curse are going possibly just with a somewhat stronger lineup, just because of very, very safe lanes that they have, both Vladimir and Morgana. And on top of that, they can put a lot of pressure onto the enemy lanes thanks to that godlike Alistair, the cowboy outfit. I do like the other team as well. There's a lot of people that jump on, that dunk on top of you, and there's no one that's too squishy except for Orianna, who can hang way, way back. I like that as well, but I kind of want to give it to Curse here. However, LoL Pro is very good friends with M5, so maybe some of Diamond's Lee Sin rubbed off on him there. I don't know, but I expect really great things from him as well.
Well, here we go then into the game. Let's give you once again a rundown here of the two lineups for Curse. We have Anguish on Vladimir, Slepper on Ezreal, Zinnek on Nunu, Extinct on Morgana, and Malunu on Alistair. For Acer, we have Salava on Orianna, Pookie Style on Graves, Super A's on Tariq, LoL Pro on Lee Sin, and Nico on Jax, or 760 Nick, which he's changed his name. Hanging around with these days. But remains to be seen. Will we see a level 1 invade? Not something that's common these days. We saw it a lot more when you go, into the past. It's a very risky maneuver, quite frankly. A game can be won and lost at level 1. There's no doubt about that one. See that the ball from Orianna going in, and Curse looking like they will set up for the invade. LoLPro will spot that advancing Curse movement. Ward has gone down outside of the Wraiths. That has been spotted, of course, by Acer. They were all sat back ready and waiting there in the brush by the Wraiths. So they know that there's a ward there. They know that they need to be careful in terms of going past that ward, specifically. Obviously, the jungler will probably want to avoid that area as much as possible to give as little vision as he can.
And what actually happened is Orianna's ball just barely scouted. I just switched to Acer's vision there for a second. They just barely scouted them in the brush there. So perfect vision there from the ball. And the Wraith Ward is also very important because it kind of tells you what stage the enemy jungler is in. If you know where they're starting, you get a rough idea when they can come for a level 2 gang. Oh, Joe, this could be very bad for LoLPro.
This could be very bad for LoLPro. Maluno is going to go in there first. LoLPro actually decides to back away from it. Have Curse got what it takes here at level 1? You'd say so. I mean, you've got Morgana in there, you've got Alistair in there. That's two already very destructive champions at level 1, and we can see that this blue buff is being plundered by Curse. They will actually use the smite there from Maluno in the end to take that one away. We are going to get back into what I call a more normal thing. Now, I talked to Curse yesterday, and we talked about, against CLGU, they're actually pretty good in terms of, their results on paper. Against Moscow 5 is something different. And what they said was, they fancy a bit of lane switching. And as of now, we've got a complete meta-breaking lane switcheroo going on with the AD carry support lane in the middle for Curse, the middle lane in top, the top lane in bottom, but on the other side it doesn't quite match up that way. We've got Graves in the top lane, Tariq Jack's in the middle, and we are going to see the stun coming in onto Slepper. Can they finish things off? There goes the leap strike, and there is the first blood. It goes over to Tariq, but they won't really care too much that it's gone. A kill is still a kill, and that will be first blood going over onto Team Acer, and the most definitely favourites, at least in this hall here, in the cinema at least. Polish team on Polish home soil, and they are going to be feeling very, very confident. And as I said to Demon earlier on, Acer are the team in Group A now who are going to cause the upsets, or have the ability, I'm going to say, to cause the upsets. They're the team that have shown great results online, beat some good teams there, coming here, taking down MYM for their first game, and now, as I said, they've got no real pressure on them. No one really expects them to be Curse or SK, but that can work in their favour as well, especially with the entire Polish audience on their backs about it.
They definitely have that potential, and I think we just need to just reference the obvious game here with these lane switch-ups. This is of course very reminiscent of the CLG versus EU game from Korea last week, or was it this week? It was this week, yes, of course.
Tuesday.
Yeah, exactly, with the Nunu in mid lane as well. Now the Dazzle actually goes out onto Slapper. He barely gets out of range there. Did not get stunned up by Jax. Good exchanges, and now it looks like there's a top lane plus support and a bot lane plus support in mid lane. So about as strange as it can possibly get. I'm not entirely sure how this is going to work out, but Joe, the general tendency is that the team that is quicker to adapt wins with these super crazy lane switches.
Yeah, that's very, very true. The bottom lane, I'm not 100% sure how that's going to go. Vladimir has already taken... I had to adjust what I was going to say, which was balls to the face. But it's taken a lot of damage. I said it anyway. That's a hard lane, in my opinion, for Vladimir coming in. We all know that Vladimir, when he gets up to that level 9 kind of area, that's where he's real strongest. But early on, he's going to take a lot of damage from this Orianna. And the good thing is that he can, take it all back with his Q, and his E as well. Later on, once he gets the revolver really in his setup as well. This middle lane, of course, as you said, Jax Tariq versus Ezreal Nunu. Not a lane that you're used to really describing how that should technically go.
Yes, there is no technically for that. I think we're in entirely unexplored territory here right now. What I can tell you for sure is that 760 is taking a lot more poke than he normally would in top lane. There's both the snowballs and the stuff from Slapper coming in, but you see in bot lane now, Flash is used aggressively here against Selva. Barely gets out of range there. Was it a flash used by Maluno? Yes, it was a aggressive flash by Maluno. So well done by Sullivan there. Of course, Orianna is not used to being in such a long lane, and that is the major difference between mid lane and any of the side lanes, in that you may have to run much further to get back to your turret, and that's why you generally put the squishy, dangerous champions in mid lane. There's a reason why the meta is the way it is.
Meta? What's this meta you talk about?
These teams have never heard of it, I can tell you that.
Well, it's always interesting, at least. That's one thing
Yeah.
that I'll say. No boring stuff here today. This is all kind of topsy-turvy, but makes a good game to watch. We currently have around about a 600 gold difference in favour of Acer, obviously, with that first blood going to be helping. Actually, we see there Silver starting to push in towards Angus, and the thing is, Lee Sin is coming around the side. There is a ward there, but that's an Acer ward. Angus has started to back away, and in the end, it looks like he is going to be going home, or maybe he won't, because Maluno is starting to work his way down, and they are going to push in. There's the ulti from Vladimir. There goes the headbutt plus the pulverize. Can they pick up this kill? He's going very low, and he will get the kill. It's Maluno in the end who manages to seal that deal, and that will bring us back to a 1-1 and a slight gold advantage for Curse. Let's have a look at the CS, because that's the interesting fact, as we have had another bit of a switcheroo, and now we've got Graves in the middle. That was mainly because, actually Jax was ahead in CS, which I didn't quite expect. You'd expect Slipper to harass him constantly out of that one. Didn't quite work that way, and Jax will be feeling very, very confident with that 1 assist. Got himself the longsword plus the health crystal, boots in there obviously as well. And it looks like the what we'll call the traditional bottom lane is now in the middle. Top has somewhat normalised with at least Jax going up there, your usual top laner. Well, Morgana is still there, but we may see another switch. Lee Sin actually coming in here. There goes the stun in onto Slepper, and there is Graves pushing down. He actually put the ulti through, but with the ignite, not quite got the damage to finish off.
There's a teleport coming in though right now from Team Curse, and Extinct goes in with the ult, but he has the black shield on himself. He's probably gonna get Super Ace proc. Super Ace is procced, and he is in the Dark Binding as well. Lotpro puts the shield on him, and this may just be enough for Super Ace to get out of it. It is actually, Maluno has the mark on him. I don't think it looks like Lotpro is gonna wanna jump. No one dies there. That was a very, very aggressive teleport in from Extinct. I like that, but it's astonishing that they couldn't kill the support quickly enough.
Yeah, the focusing was all a little bit weird as well. We saw Alistair come in there, Nunu come in there, Zinnik obviously focus on Lee Sin, I suppose more to keep him out of the fight than anything else, but they probably could have done with that damage to help them try at least to finish off that kill. Didn't work out for them, and that leaves us with a bang-even game on gold. Okay, we see Acer slightly ticking ahead, but it's very, very even, this one. We have the kills, one with Taric, one with Alistair, which I suppose we could say for the future is probably better for the Alistair player. But we'll have to see how this all goes out. We've had another lane switch. This bottom lane of Curse are determined to be matched with Jax, which, as we saw in the middle, wasn't actually that effective. No.
Yeah. And now Vladimir, as you pointed out, is level 7 as well. He decided to go for a very, very power-hungry build, straight for the needlessly large rod, and we can see something potentially interesting happening in top lane. Super Ace is there, but he's standing on a ward, and so is Lolpro now. A little bit too early in the game to have wards, so I think Slepper and Cynic are going to be super safe here. Let's see how they play this, because if they're too safe, they give away their cards, but yeah, Super Ace and Lolpro decide it's not worth sticking around for that. And now Extinct is mid lane. What is Morgana doing mid lane, Joe? What is this? This is so strange. Actually, 760 is going in top lane there. The follow-up stun from Taric doesn't quite get in range to do that. And the exchange is actually better for Curse in that case.
Yeah, Nico, showing his kind of early game dominance there. Got good farm in the middle against Ezreal. He's actually fallen behind now after Ezreal made that switch up to the top lane. He's got double door on his blade. Actually, this is an interesting move from Vladimir. Has gone directly into a needlessly large rod, which is, not the most common. We see in Asia a lot that, these Vladimirs under pressure will go door and shield even if they need to in the early game. But something more common, in towards that revolver, as I said earlier on. He's gone straight in for that pure AP. So Angus obviously feeling that he wants to put that pressure a little bit more down onto Orianna. That bottom lane currently 77 to 64 CS. So now Vladimir is winning out that lane still.
So there's two types of power jumps that Vladimir can have there. He can buy the revolver, which is the normal one, which is a jump in sustain, and Morgana's not going to find anyone there. It's just a jump in sustain, or he can build straight for the death cap and get a jump just in damage output. And it looks like they want the latter, and it kind of does make a lot of sense because with Alistar and with Nunu, and even with Morgana, they have a lot of people that can at least zone people somewhat from a fight, so that Vladimir can, not get dived on completely. And if he is doing well enough for that, I can kind of see how that works. But it's definitely unconventional.
We've had another lane switch there. Silova actually does have the blue buff. Morgana's gone back top. Jax, Taric, and Lee Sin are in the middle. Maluna's at least jungling, which is, a good thing as a jungler. But a real big switch in this one. Actually, in the middle lane, we've got the dive coming in. There's the kick back onto Slipper. He's not getting away from this one. Acer with 3 men pushing straight in on towards the turret. Gonna pick themselves up the kill. That puts them in the lead in terms of kills. The goal is still bang even, though, after 11.5 minutes. The question is now which lanes will switch and when and where and
why.
And why, maybe even is the question. But currently top lane Graves against Morgana. As I said, Jax had come back down into this middle lane, and it's hard to really compare the CS. I mean, if you line up the players in their traditional roles, at least, the AD carry Ezreal compared to Graves. Graves has 20 CS, let's call it, more. In the top lane, you've got Vladimir with 93 to the 73 of Jax, so that's 20 more as well.
Yep.
AP, you've got Morgana on 97, Orianna on 83, so that's edging its way towards 20 as well. The junglers 55 to 50, that's not quite the difference there, but you can see from that Curse, despite being 2-1 behind in the kills, are now, 300, 200 gold in the lead because they are still farming out very nice. These lane switches are working in their favor.
It is Graves, though, that is currently ahead, and I think as the game goes longer and longer, that is going to matter a little bit more than the other CS. But we'll have to see how they take it in teamfights. LoL Pro going in very aggressively here against Maluna. Is he going to jump in? The last kill that we actually saw there against Slapper was a super long distance jump from Lee Sin's Q, and LoL Pro is definitely a very, very aggressive player there. Nice little bit of ward baiting going on there near the Dragon Pit. There is the Dazzle going in onto Cynic. LoL Pro jumps in and immediately cancels. No, Cynic must have cancelled his own ultimate there.
Yeah.
That's the Ezreal ultimate coming in. The Orianna ultimate actually also hitting just one person. Extinct procs his ultimate on 760, who is a little bit out of the fight. Now Extinct getting jumped on by LoL Pro, who is still so aggressive. Even though it looked like his team was falling back already, he still wants more. And once again, Joe, no kills?
No kills indeed. They're really struggling to lock these kills down. That may change here in the middle. We see the Vladimir ulti going in onto LoL Pro. He's actually going to be shielded up there and should be fine from that one. But Curse, now we've not seen a single turret taken down up until this point. Will that change? Well, I mean, in the grand scheme of things, of course it will change. Maybe now, maybe 60 minutes down the line, who knows? But that will, of course, change. The question is in which direction, because right now, as we've said, the CS is well and truly over with Curse, although Orianna has now started to nicely come back into that one. Jax also, being given a bit of time in this middle, is starting to farm his way back into things as well. But you've still got to give, in my opinion, the advantage over to Curse there. Technically the more experienced team in this position. Let's not forget that both teams have 1 win, 0 losses up until this point. So this could very well be the decider who tops the group. Yep.
And that is, of course, exactly the position you want to be in, short of a 2-1 tie. You are not going to drop out of the group anymore at that point. Yeah. Jax is back in the middle with his support, Taric, of course. LoL Pro is just waiting around the corner. Look at how often it is that LoL Pro is somewhere just waiting to go in for a gank. A lot of farmers these days, junglers these days, spend a lot of time actually farming in the jungle because of the new, of course, respawn times. But LoL Pro just wants to gank all day long. And his Wraiths and his Golems were up the whole time while he was waiting there as well.
Extinct here in the top. I mean, Graves put everything out there onto Extinct, dropped him down to around about a quarter of his HP. but again, not quite getting the kill. Ulti is burned from Graves, which, you know, not the longest of cooldowns. Didn't use his Ignite with that one either. And we can see down at the bottom there, Maluno does have that Oracle up, is the one trying to clear out as many wards as he can. Actually, he's going to come back down towards this bottom lane, and he's going to try and sneak in through the bush from the bottom side. Silver actually will start to back away, and that's because that blue buff is now available. They want to make sure that Orianna maintains this blue buff, that she is able to stand and bang with this Vladimir in the bottom lane.
And she did build a Chalice first, which is also something that you normally see on Orianna's. And they actually are going in on her. The Pulverize does barely miss there, I think, but so does her Shockwave as well. The ball was still on Silver, and the shield is going to keep him safe, so he's going to survive this. So 2 missed spells there, Joe, cancelling each other out in the end.
Yo, we saw from Vladimir the EQ combo damage there right at the end, what he can actually do at that stage. And that's something that's got to be a little bit worrying for Celiva down at bottom. And as I say that, he comes up with the Negatron cloak. So getting that magic resisting, obviously against Vladimir, who's gone less for the sustain, more for the damage.
Yeah.
Blue buff currently being given over here to Slepper by the looks of things.
Yeah, I kind of like that. Morgana really not very blue buff dependent. Generally, she should be able to keep her mana up just by, you know, not being too spammy. And in a team fight, she doesn't need to keep putting out spells. She just needs to get a good ultimate in and maybe a good dark binding. And in mid lane, we see Super Ace looking for that stun again. But Maluno was around the corner as well. That could have backfired very, very badly. Maluno now with the oracles and none on LoL Pro at the moment. I don't know, has he bought one yet? Did you see anything there, Joe?
Not to my knowledge, up until now. But, you know...
They are going in on Cynic, though. Sorry to interrupt you there. He uses his Absolute Zero just for the initial proc, and Slepper is coming in with a good amount of damage. Maluno coming in from the side, 760 getting very, very low, jumping to his own minutes. He still has an Ignite ticking. He is going to survive just barely. Wow. Well played. And Celiva was coming up, so it was a well played from Curse as well to disengage after they couldn't get the kill on Jax, because if they'd stayed there, that could have ended badly. Shockwave was back and available again thanks to the cooldown reduction from the blue buff.
Yeah, the pot really helping out basically to keep him alive from that one. But again, close stuff, and they're not quite able to finish off these kills, and that's something that's been, for both teams, a bit of a problem up until now. We can see Pukki-style up in this top lane there, just pressuring Extinct down once again. 142 CS, which is, again, he's taken that lead, which Orianna managed to start to really bring back in her favour. Or I say in her favour, but no, just not quite a severe deficit. This time, though, it has gone, it's started to build itself back up.
And we can see in top lane LoL Pro going in on Extinct, but a perfect dark binding is going to keep Pukki-style out of damage range. Extinct very, very calmly saying, well, I can dark bind you. Actually, LoL Pro still has not got enough. Pukki-style is coming back in, and the ultimate is not going to hit. Thanks to a great flash there from Morgana, the dark binding also not hitting, and Maluno does not want to go in with Extinct being this low right now.
Yeah, Maluno did start to hang around, but once that dark binding misses, he's like, nah, maybe really not that much that I can add up to that one. But at the moment, Acer are pressuring this middle lane. You can see that Orianna has now switched into her more commonly known position of middle.
Yep. LoL Pro is coming around from the back door into top lane. Pukki-style is gone past the tower already. Extinct must know that he's in a bad place. Let's see if he can reach him with a Q. Is he going to go for it? Yes, he's queuing in actually. Extinct is running out of her. That's definitely going to be a very, very dead Morgana here. The Astronaut ultimate doesn't hit anyone. There is the kill pickup actually coming out of Lee Sin. Well played there.
The Q finishing things off. Maluno coming back up there just, well, a little bit too late, let's call it. Not quite in the right position that he needed to be to defend his teammate. That is Acer taking the lead now. One thing that I'm not 100% sure of is, you know, the difference, and we say it often, between a great team and the best teams is the ability to, number one, gain a lead, and number two, take it to the finish. Have Acer really got what it takes to do this one? I mean, the global objectives up until now, specifically Dragon and obviously Baron, have not been touched. They've been, you know, a little bit forgotten somehow. I guess that's more towards the fact that they're so even, both these teams, that neither team is really feeling that they have that advantage that they need and to start to push down those kind of objectives. Super Ace actually is going to go in there, and as if by magic when I say it, they're going to do themselves a dragon. And this is perfect timing from Acer now. They've got themselves that little lead, and now this is the point where they need to start to build on that lead and push it further. But as in normal fashion, Angosh sees that they're going down towards the dragon, and he's like, well, then I'll take your top outer turret.
And Vladimir is in top lane now. He has built the death cap, and then, because Joe, he is also listening to you, he built the Doran's shield next.
Yeah,
it's a little confusing. Doran's shield Doran's items generally are considered very early game items. They don't build into anything. They give you good value for money, so to speak, but it's not really great for the mid to late game. So he did buy that, probably because he wants to switch to top lane and go against Grace. But in bot lane, we actually see Cynic being dumped on by 3 members of Acer right now. Slepper is still fighting because Extinct was coming from behind. 760 now going very, very low. He has used his ultimate to have a little bit more armor and magic resist. Is Slepper going to flash over? Maluno is coming in. Yes, there is the shift, the arcane shift coming across the wall, and 760 actually finds a ward.
Wow.
The chase is still on the low pro, has Angush's ultimate onto him, and let's see if the proc is gonna kill him. Yes, the proc is actually gonna kill him, and a double kill for Angush as well, picking up the Taric there too. Selva takes a dark bind to the face, and this is not looking good for Team Acer right now. He goes down as well, and Curse, since they're in the neighborhood anyway, decide to take Comrade Golem as well.
Yeah, and that's where, you know, the stuff hit the fan in terms of this Acer game.
Yeah.
And that's what I said. I'm not sure if they've got the follow-through that they need. Are they that experienced? You know, technically not, I suppose. We can say in terms of their tournament experience and what have you.
Yeah.
Angosh, though, is being a bit of a boss in terms of knocking down turrets. He's taking the outer turret on both the top and the bottom lane. Acer are farming as much as they can. They're 1,500 gold behind. As you can see there, between the two teams, where that gold lies. I mean, 6,000 compared to 6,500 between the AD carries. So that's a good position for Graves to be in. Ezreal's died twice, got himself 3 assists. Does have now Sheen and Phage compared over with the BF Sword Pickaxe, Double Doran's Blade, and the Vamp Scepter on the Graves. But he's working up towards that Infinity Edge by the looks of things right from the very start. Orianna now has got the Abyssal Scepter added in. LoL Pro now could find himself in a little bit of trouble. Dark Binding not actually going to come out there for Extinct, which kind of surprised me. I think it was more a positional thing, and actually this time will end up landing it, and there comes the ultimate from Ezreal. Actually, LoL Pro jumped in onto Zinnek, and that got him out of position. Here comes Extinct, will actually get kicked away, and that's going to cancel his ulti. There's the Orianna ultimate coming in as well. That will make sure that LoL Pro is safe, and now they turn the damage around, but Curse not having any of it as the cow comes in. I'm not sure that any kills are going to come from this one. Maybe now, as we do see that Angosh works his way in towards the middle, and they want to take this third and final outer turret in the middle lane. Not quite sure that they've got the position and the damage to be finished that one off. Angosh is actually just stealing away the Wraith, and in the meantime, we can see that Nico down on this bottom lane. He's going to be taking away the the second turret, the second outer turret of the game for Acer. So if you look at the gold, it's 800 difference, slight kill advantage over with Curse. Actually, look at this. You can see that Nico's got up to that strong point in the game. There's the ultimate from Zinnek, which was, I think, more for the slow there rather than obviously the damage with those items. And in the end, it will force Jax at least to back away from that position. So 24 minutes in, we've had that one dragon takedown. But other than that, things still for me could be won or lost from either team.
Let me point out that Graves has finished his first pick. I mean, he has finished the Infinity Edge, while Ezreal obviously still working on the Trinity Force. I'm not entirely sure how much you need. I think he probably has the money now, so once he goes back, but he should make sure to go back before the next fight. Because money in the bank is not worth very much in a team fight. It's only money that you actually invest in power, of course. It still looks, as long as there's only small skirmishes, it still looks like Acer keeps coming out ahead due to clutch play. That Selva ultimate there just to keep LoL Pro safe Perfect play there. I wouldn't even have thought of that because, you know, generally you're in the mindset, I'm going to use my ultimate to kill. In this case, it was I'm going to use my ultimate just to give my teammate the half second he needs to run away.
Yeah.
And that was just great play. But it looks like as soon as it gets into the 5v5-5s, the really big fights that need a lot of coordination, a lot of shot calling, that is where Crs have the advantage. And Meluno going in very aggressively. Ezreal ultimate actually not hitting anything, but the Anguish ultimate is going to hit very well onto Pokestyle and onto LoL Pro. And Pokestyle goes down to the ultimate, and LoL Pro goes down also from Vladimir damage. So a double kill for Anguish, who I think, Joe, you called it, is playing like a boss this game.
Yeah, he's doing so well. And you know, there was this whole thing with Crs. With Youngbuck in there, Anguish gone, now Anguish back, Youngbuck kicked, then he goes to SK, now he's kicked. And Anguish just showing us he is top notch. There is actually his third turret kill of this game. 3 out of 3 going his way. So, you know, he's playing a very strong Vladimir right now. Actually, he's working his way up towards the Crystal Scepter as well. Got the blasty one, plus that Giant's belt in as well. And that, we talked about the old door and shield thing. It came fairly late in the game, considered more to be an early game item, but it's given him that little bit extra that apparently he really wanted in this one.
That was close. That was a nice close recall, of course, calculated. He knew that 760 would walk in there this second, and they're not going to look for anything. Yeah, the role of Vladimir in a team fight is very much, I mean, you do want to put your ultimate down for the damage amplification.
As I say that, he finishes his Crystal Scepter by the second door and shield.
Exactly, that's exactly what I was going to talk about. And then you want to clean up, and the slow from Crystal Scepter is just absolutely important to make sure people can't run away from you and kite you while you try to clean them up. And Anguish is now, just look at his position, he is very confident there. Extinct is still pushing mid lane a little bit there. Don't think that Acer really want to go for this dragon. I think what they want to do is they want to find a good person to jump in on, maybe even separate somebody with a Dragon's Wrath. Oh, no, that jump was just purely defensive. And Joe, what would you do if you were in Acer's shoes?
Well, I'm trying to wait for the game to catch up. There it is. Comes back in. And, well, Acer are start now on this blue buff. Actually will be stolen away by the Ezreal ulti. And now this fight is going to kick off there. Anguish actually uses the Sanguine Pull to start to escape. But Nico is not finished just yet. There is the Vladimir ultimate. Can they finish chasing off? Actually, Vladimir has backed totally away from that fight. Doesn't want to be pushed in there. But, you know, with that extra life still getting a bit of health back, maybe they'll switch off. Dragon has been started now by the other 4 members of Acer. The question is, can they fight? Well, against 2, they can definitely fight there. And we will see that the red team does pick up Dragon going over towards Acer. He is Extinct. The ultimate is going to proc off there, getting the kill. Actually was stolen away by Ezreal, but kills the kill. And here is Anguish once again. Pokestyle going very low. He dies. Celiver dies as well. Can they finish off? The LoL Pro has dropped very low. It's going to be Jax basically causing all the problems in there. But the quadra kill racks up for Ezreal. And if it couldn't have gone any worse, well, I suppose it could have been a pentakill.
That's true, that's true. Very nice move from Extinct. Teleporting in onto a ward here on the ramp from Dragon to the enemy team's blue buff. So that was really well done, but it just was not enough. He did get in and had perfect Sonya's timing as well. Yeah. He dodged all the damage from the shockwave, but still it was not enough. It was just Anguish taking so very long to die. I mean, yes, in the end, Jax did get him, but we're now coming to the stage in the game, Joe, where Anguish is no longer going to be their main worry. Their main worry is slowly going to be that AD carry, that Asriel, of course, on Slepper.
Yeah, and when you say slowly, I'd say quite quickly,
it's
maybe.
It's happened, yeah.
I mean, he's 4-2-4 now. Trinity Force is finished. He's just gone home.
And bought a Bloodthirster.
And bought himself a Bloodthirster.
That's bad.
Not quite outright. He had the Vamp Scepter. Or did he have the Vamp Scepter? I think he did.
I'm not even sure.
Either way, it's close, you know.
Yeah.
400 watt gold, so it's not that much big of a difference. But that is now a very scary Ezreal. Actually, Vladimir has sold off one of his door and shield now, picking up the Chain Vest and the Amp Tome. And he is just looking... I don't know, in these team fights, he's caused them a lot of problems, obviously. We saw him being focused, and he's just like, well, you know, you burn everything on me, that's fine by me. I'll run back towards my team, I can Sanguine Pull. There's no way that they should really lock him down, and that's what's proven to be a real tough point here with this Anguish.
And he's still not bought any Spell Vamp. Of course, I think that Amp Tome is going to be a revolver. I'd be very surprised if it isn't. And I think a little bit of Spell Vamp, he could have probably just lived through a lot more of the Jax damage there. but because he's waited so long to go for Spellbomb, he could front load the AP into his build, and that is what made him such a disruptive influence on the game. But the game, even though it looks, if you just look at the numbers, it looks like Crs have an advantage. I really wouldn't say they have a clear advantage. I think this is still absolutely neck on neck there, and if Pukistar can finish his PD sometime soon, it's going to be bad news once again for Crs, because that's going to be yet another of those power jumps. And Graves just has power jumps in sustained damage, whereas Ezreal very, very much in the pokey stuff. He's going to be very, very strong there, but the sustained damage coming out of Graves, especially because Graves also can stay a little bit closer to the fight thanks to his passive. Yeah, as soon as he finishes that PD, it's going to be another good power jump, and Acer may want to try to team fight off of that.
Yeah, it's pretty close to that Phantom Dancer as well. Over on the other side, though, Vladimir and Ezreal looking good. I mean, even if you look towards Maluno, 207. Got the Aegis built up now. Got a Kindle gem in there. There's a Kindle gem with Nunu, so possible double Shurelya's Reverie going over that side of things. And on the other team, doesn't look like Acer anywhere near to go in that direction, actually. So that's going to give Crs certainly a movement advantage to chase, to escape from things, and this could be interesting now as well, as we see Nico come to the top side of things. That ward will have spotted his position, but Crs are more interested in pushing this lane out and maybe then headed off towards the Baron, which actually, as far as I'm aware, Acer have no vision of currently.
Maluno just cleared it out.
And yeah, it's not looking good at this stage, especially since they did have a ward in the back of Dragon, which is actually going to forcibly stop Super A's going back. Obviously didn't want to go in there. There goes the Dark Bind actually landing with the Tormented Soil in onto LoL Pro, who will instantly dash off back towards his teammates. And Crs, wisely so, want to make sure that this middle lane is pushed out, that Acer have something to deal with when they start to peel off towards this Baron. They've got complete control, basically, of this top side of the jungle. They should be able to clear this ward out here with that Oracle on Maluno as well. And
there it is.
There is the ward gone.
I like that it didn't go in on a Dark Binding on the Lee Sin, because Lee Sin can always jump up. What they're trying to do, Extinct, is just throwing as many blind bindings as he can until he hits a target that cannot easily leave his Dark Binding, and I think then they're going to go all in on them.
Yeah, I would expect them to dive in onto that one as well. Obviously, Morgana by now does have the Zhonya's Hourglass available as well, so can get that invulnerability. But Acer, they're not giving up on this one, but here we go, push coming in from Crs. They've decided this is the right time to go in. The Ezreal ulti comes around as well. There's the Orianna ultimate. We can see that Extinct is going to proc onto at least 3 of them there. Super Ace goes down. We saw Lee Sin drop just before that. Pucky style now, going to be headbutted away. He did get a kill before his death, but this is going to be surely an ace. Actually, the Guardian Angel there on Jax is at least going to keep him alive for now, but he was trying to get off towards Slepper, who will manage to escape, and Nico is still alive, running away. There goes the headbutt pulverized. Dark Binding will land as well, and there is the Tormented Soil. The kill finished off, and there is the ace. I told you it was going to be an ace. I thought I called it too early, but in the end, they saved me.
Well done there. Well done, Joe, and also well done, Crs. I like the play from Selva in this one. He was on Vladimir, on Angush. He identified that Angush is a scary, scary man, and he waited for Angush to come out of the pool and instantly dropped him with a command attack, command dissonance combo. So that was really well played, but I don't know what his team was doing in the meantime, because unfortunately the AD carry from the enemy team was still up and gave him just a little bit too much trouble there. And what did I miss?
Extinct just total clutch spell shield to stop the stun coming in onto him there. Right outside of the turret. Great stuff from Extinction. Crs, I said it earlier on that Acer are the team in Group A that would chop SK or Crs. It doesn't look like it's going to be Crs, but let's not call this one until it's really over. Selva's actually pushing in here onto Extinct. We'll use the ulti and we'll get the kill there as well. And just showing the power of this Orianna, especially now since she's got that Death by Grasp finished, taking a big chunk of health away right from the very get-go. Makes you a great dueling champion. And now Dragon's going over, and that's going to bring them just that one step closer, to having maybe a possible comeback. Joe, I just did some math in my head. Really?
And before Deathfire...
Do you have headache now?
I do, a little bit. Before Deathfire Graphs, Celeber puts out about 1,050 damage with his combo.
Yeah.
So that's what we just saw in Morgana. That's what just made Morgana disappear there. Little magic trick from Celeber. Good Ezreal ultimate actually takes 4 of them. That means Ezreal is going to have full stacks of his passive now. Cynic is going to get dumped on. The ultimate is not going to matter at all. Now this is actually a pretty good play here from Acer. They still have everybody up and 2 members are still down on Curse. So they are on Baron, forcing Curse to come in on this. And Slepper is poking really, really well, doing a lot of damage. There is the Vladimir ultimate as well, as Celeber gets pushed back into the pit there, but he's going to be very happy. Oh, there is the teleport from Extinct, who goes very, very low immediately, but he's going to survive just long enough. Pookie Style sitting outside the Dragon Pit, putting some damage in, but no one offers themselves anymore, and Curse are playing this so well here. Super Ace is going to go down to Anguish, and oh, there's a little dazzle, but he's not going to get away too much. And at the same time, in mid lane, the chase is still on. Actually, Anguish says, I don't really care about your support, I want to help my team push in this mid inhibitor as quickly as possible. And it looked like Acer should have been able to do that, but somehow just great play from Curse. The teleport in once again from Morgana, wonderfully done there, and it looks really good for Curse right now.
Yeah, I mean, Curse went into that fight in a 3 versus 5 at the very start.
Yep.
And you know, they held their nerve, they kept their bottle, and they were able to pull things out later on. There's the Ezreal ultimate just to farm from across the map.
Of course.
As all good Ezreals will do. And now Curse looking to push down another tower. Actually, we see Graves just quick drawing away from that one. Doesn't even want to get involved anywhere near the near these 3. Obviously could end up getting slowed, or even worse for him, probably that Dark Binding landing from Morgana. But he has managed to hold out on this tower, which has survived with minimal HP.
Let me point out that Ezreal bought a Guardian Angel. There was a long time when AD carries used to buy defensive items as their 3rd, 4th item. Maybe a Guardian Angel, maybe a Banshee's Veil. That time is pretty much over, but I can really see why this works. With Jax and with Lee Sin around, and with Orianna as well, there's so many people who can just dump onto Slepper and take him early out of a fight. And if that happens now, then there is still the damage output from Anguish, there's still the damage output from Extinct, and they can get people down, and then, you know what, Slepper comes back to life and says, thank you very much, I'll clean up. So very, very interesting buy there. We do see a chain rest on Graves as well, so he could be going for that as well. So we may have a situation like in the Fnatic versus Moscow 5 game, where I think 9 people had a Guardian Angel, Joe. Don't know if you saw that game. It was pretty silly.
9 people.
9 people with Guardian Angel.
Yeah.
Yep.
I'm not quite sure we're going to get to that level in this one. But right now, Curse, you know, it's their game to lose, to be quite frank with you.
Yeah.
With that Baron on board as well, we just saw Nico actually around this top, but it looks like Curse are going to be pushing in for this top tower. Slepper deciding he's going to tank it, get those first couple of hits away. Anguish then, in the end, comes around, which it doesn't really need to do. The minions are now in there. Extinct will throw out the Dark Binding. Won't quite land before it ranges out. But Curse slowly but surely, almost tutorial style here, working their way in towards victory. And Slepper, you know, he's been the big one for them. Playing this Ezreal has done a fantastic job. He's totally mobile right now. His items hurt a lot. Plus, you know, he's got the safety of that Guardian Angel as well. And they are slowly but surely just going to go straight through on towards this inhibitor turret, of course, with the Baron buff on as well. We can see Anguish, who is pretty much for the entire game being split pushing with this Vladimir. He's going to go in. There's a Dark Binding landing. That's the cue for Curse to go in. That is a very dead Orianna very quickly. Here is the ultimate from Morgana. Not quite going to proc onto LoL Pro, and he's going to go down anyway. It's not going to make any difference. Anguish is still somehow alive. Hardly got any HP. Guardian's Angel, of course, on Nick, and there is the Sanguine Pool in a clutch bit of timing. And that is going to bring us to 3-4-0 in favor of Curse. Inhibitor turret's going to go down. Inhibitor is going to be following as well. And then they move on towards the Nexus turrets. There's the Dark Binding landing on Super Ace. Kill going to follow up from that one as well. Second Nexus turret goes down. They even want to take Graves on the Fountain. Well, they're like, well, let's take the Nexus. And Curse are going to go 2-for-0 here in Group A of the European Challenger Circuit Poland. Fantastic, fantastic performance. Still have to give credit to Acer. They still look like a team that could possibly upset SK, who have actually just gone into the VIP room here above us. They were surely watching that one and taking a few notes, I'd say.
I definitely think so. That was a very, very scary play. I just want to point out that last play again. That was exactly why I love watching Curse. Extinct, the second that his then his Dark Bunny hit just flashes over and kills everyone. But I think, Joe, we are going to give over to the stage any second now. Or to us?
Second.
Well, we are the stage. We are the smaller stage. But so
Kind of behind us.
yes, the stage is right there.
Any
So-
second now.
Yeah, no, apparently not. Anyway, we can talk about the game a little bit longer until they're ready on the stage. Yeah.
Jak najbardziej, drogi Morglumie, jak najbardziej. So we've had this game. Curse is pretty much through to the next round, almost certain. And then the next game will be SK Gaming versus Acer, and that game will decide whether Ocelot's team is going through to the playoffs or whether it's the Polish team. Tak więc następny mecz będzie między Acerem i SK Gaming. Pokażemy go tutaj i zadecyduje on o tym, kto przechodzi do kolejnej rundy najprawdopodobniej. Tymczasem chciałbym mojego dobrego kolegę powitać na scenie i zgotujcie mu bardzo gorące powitanie. Let's welcome to the stage Demon. How you doing, Demon?
Oh no, I'm doing very well. It's very warm today, though.
Okay.
I'm English, not used to
Czy
it.
ktoś ogląda Demona komentarze w internecie? They know you. They know you. Okay, let's get one of the Curse guys for an interview. How about the team captain for an interview? Anguish, come over here. I tried to troll Anguish today, but he knows me apparently, so that didn't work out. Demon, take it away.
Yeah, so, I mean, let's go to the start of the game. Were you aware they were going to do something funky? I mean, that was a whole meta change, that whole start of that game.
Spodziewaliście się, give me a sec, spodziewaliście się, że Acer zrobi coś niespodziewanego na samym początku meczu?
I think it was more our initiation to make a lane swap, since Jack shouldn't be left farming alone. We tried our best to interrupt it, and I guess we did it, since he couldn't kill us in all team fights. It was more of a Graves who got the free farm. We played better team fights, we caught them off guard in some small fights, even though we were maybe equal, and I guess the skill maybe won the game instead of picks.
Tak więc przede wszystkim umiejętności zrobiły różnicę w tym meczu, a nie wybór postaci, nie wybór czempionów. Wiedzieli, że Jacksowi nie wolno dać farmować, ale Graves również tam coś pograł i kluczem było to, że wygrali drużynowe walki wspólne.
You've taken Ezreal for the last two games, Pulsefire Ezreal, I should say, get the advertisement in there. Is there anything particular you guys have noticed with him that's made you go to him? Because he's not been buffed or anything.
Sorry, I couldn't hear anything from your question.
You're not listening to me. Their Ezreal pick, they've used it twice.
Tak, więc pytanie było o postać Ezreal. 2 razy została wybrana. Seriously. Just keep answering.
Okay. The Ezreal pick is more like trying to counter the Jax itself. You just focused on one pick to be countered by whole team, most likely. And it quite very well against some bruisers too. So the Jax, the Lee Sin, they can't attack him, they can't kill him, he can defend himself. And that's the mind behind it.
Tak, więc wybór Ezreala był podyktowany tym, że grali przeciwko Jaxowi, przeciwko Lee Sinowi. Postacie, które po prostu nie radzą sobie dobrze z Ezreal.
Okay, so chances are you're going to top the group now. Looking forward to this afternoon, Group B. You've got the big CLG Moscow 5 in there. You've got Ocelot World as well as ELO Hell. Is there anyone particular that you're thinking, okay, we're going to top the group? Who do we want from that group?
Tak więc bardzo duże prawdopodobieństwo jest, że Curse wyjdzie z pierwszego miejsca z grupy. W drugiej grupie jest wiele ciekawych drużyn. Kogo sobie życzą jako przeciwników?
Well, since we most likely will be top, 3-0, the first team in our group, I guess we'll meet probably CLG, since Moscow 5 should have higher chances to be the first team in their group. And as some followers of our team should know that we beat CLG most of the time, we don't consider them our rivals, more like Moscow 5, and we have more chances against COG than Moscow 5. So we expect finals.
Tak więc Anguish spodziewa się, że z drugiej grupy z pierwszego miejsca wyjdzie Moscow 5, z drugiego miejsca CLG. Natomiast w tej grupie dzisiaj bardzo możliwe, że Chaos Gaming wyjdzie z pierwszego miejsca ze stanem 3-0. W związku z czym spotkają prawdopodobnie CLG Europe i właśnie dosyć odważnie zapowiada, że prawdopodobnie wygrają, dlatego że grają często, a za prawdziwych rywali uznają Rosjan z Moscow 5.
And finally, you've moved to Berlin recently as a team, as a gaming house. Do you feel that the camaraderie that you've gathered from that, the team play, is all helping towards this tournament, you know, enjoying Poland?
Tak więc drużyna Crs przeniosła się niedawno do Berlina i pytanie właśnie, czy fakt, że mieszkają razem, że grają wspólnie, czy to pomaga im tutaj na tym turnieju?
Well, Berlin is nice, even though we don't see it so much, because we were just playing in the boot camp. And I think we'll move into gaming house after the Poland. And yeah, it helps team to get better, like in terms of like relationship, to understand each other, maybe like how they're thinking instead of just telling them the mistakes. So they would know in the future how to react to each other. That helps a lot.
Tak więc Berlin bardzo im się podoba, tylko że spędzają tyle czasu na grze, że nie za dużo go mogą zobaczyć i sam fakt, że wspólnie mieszkają, wspólnie grają, to bardzo pomaga w zrozumieniu, dlatego że znają się osobiście.
And finally, any word for the fans out there? There's a lot of people come to watch you, enjoying your games. Anything you'd like to say to those guys?
Thank you for watching our games. Keep on watching them. And I don't know, thanks for our sponsors, the Crs, TeamSpeak, Gunners, and Logitech. We're using the headsets and so on.
Tak więc Anguish chciał podziękować tutaj przybyłym fanom League of Legends za doping oraz sponsorem swojej drużyny Crs. So, thanks Demon, thanks Anguish. Wielkie brawa jeszcze raz dla nich. Tak więc potrzebujemy jakichś 10-15 minut maksymalnie na danie przerwy tutaj zawodnikom Crs i Acera. Czy ktoś z was tutaj ogląda piłkę nożną, nawiasem mówiąc? Dobra, niewiele osób, ale myślę... Dobrze, poćwiczymy sobie doping innym razem. Acer będzie potrzebował dopingu, mam nadzieję, że to wypali nam za chwilę. Tymczasem zrobimy małą przerwę, puścimy mały trailer. Po trailerze będzie kilka konkursów, będziemy losowali koszulki. Będziemy losowali skiny na Susa, jak również te karty, na których jest dużo Riot Pointsów. So guys, if you're watching on stream, we're going to take a short commercial break. In about 10 to 15 minutes, we're going to start the next game. So go get a hot tea, go get some popcorn. The deciding game of this group, Group A of the tournament, will happen shortly. We'll be right back.
No.
Awaiting your command.
Let's do this. And welcome back, everyone. SK versus Acer. I am so excited about this game. Acer has really been showing what a powerhouse they can be, running up against the behemoth that is Crs.eu. Steve Jaws Jaworski alongside Josh Jat Leisman. How's it going, Jat?
Really good, Jaws, aside from the sweltering heat inside this theater, but that does not deter the fans. We're still a packed house here. And I was talking to some of the other teams during a couple of those games, trying to get a handle on what they think this Group A, how it was going to play out. And actually, Acer and Curse were probably the favorites going in, and it's really SK who's put on an impressive showing. If they win this game, they're through.
Yeah, SK especially, they had a little bit of trouble in that first game, but they came through against Meet Your Maker, and I believe this will determine who goes through to the semifinals.
So right now, it's actually, I'm pretty sure Curse is automatically through. MOM has lost both of their games, and both of these teams are 1-1. So definitely the winner of this team, automatic advancement.
Yeah, and with that Acer Crs.eu match that we just saw, really interesting meta shifts going on.
Yeah.
I believe it was a Nunu Jax mid, as well as an Ezreal as well.
The team compositions themselves were fairly normal. We had like a double AP on one side and then a bruiser AP AD on the other side. But just the lane swapping was really unusual. I couldn't, there was the Morgana in the top lane with teleport, and they kept swapping up things like Jax and Graves over and over again. And it just led into a really awkward, kind of confusing game. And yeah, Curse was able to come out on top of that one.
Yeah, and it'll be really interesting to see what Acer does in response to that loss. It was actually pretty even coming into that game, and Curse was just able to pull ahead. Extinct especially had a couple of really clutch bindings, and Slepper on Ezreal is just terrifying.
I think he's picked that both games. He's really comfortable on Ezreal right now, and the big thing about that was the Nunu Ezreal synergy. Really, Ezreal's one of the most difficult AD carries to close to as someone like Jax, so it's just a good, as you said, I saw in the interview, a good counter pick to Jax, because Jax can't really close to Ezreal, and then with the Blood Boil from Nunu, just too much damage really at the end. It felt into their whole composition too. They had a double AP, which gets everyone low, and then the really elusive, slippery Ezreal comes in with Blood Boil and finishes everyone off.
Yeah, and it was really interesting to also see a Morgana top lane. You don't typically see that, and we were talking about the match as we were watching. You're saying, I wonder why the Jax isn't going top against that Morgana.
Yeah. It was just really good play by Curse's Morgana there. I didn't think Morgana would be able to stick against Jax or Graves because she doesn't really have a way of blocking really any of their damage, but incredibly good conservative play by that Morgana in the top lane and just managed to take it over. And here, as far as this next game goes, SK versus Acer, I do have to give the slight edge to Acer, even though when SK played Curse, they really put up a fight. So, both these teams put up really good fights against Curse. The only loss being to Curse for both of these teams, and I can't really call it going into this game.
Yeah, absolutely. And SK with 2 new members, it's interesting to see them really start to come together. And Ocelot, as always, a fantastic AP carry, and Yellow Star, really scary, especially if he gets that Corki. It'll be really interesting to see what they're going to be picking. And Ocelot actually going for a Gragas pick in that first game, going for a more traditional Ahri pick. He's really comfortable with that Ahri, but it was actually really nice to see Gragas back in competitive play.
Yeah, SK seems to have this revolving door of a roster. It's pretty much Ocelot and friends in a lot of situations. But now they're starting to get a bit more team cohesion and synergy. Kevin's been with them for a while. Nif has been with them forever as well. So they're starting to come together a little bit, and you can kind of see it in the way they play. They're playing very much together. Ocelot's back in the mid lane where he really belongs, and he's starting to play a little bit more aggressive, which makes him comfortable in the game.
Yeah, and speaking of aggressive, Acer really bringing the aggression. We had talked about this in the first game with those pink wards, and I really feel like that's what helped keep them in that game with Curse. Curse eventually able to pull it out in the mid and late game, but early game, Acer really giving them a run for their money.
Yeah, and Selivar on that Orianna as well. He's played it both games. Even though they lost that last game, I don't think it was on the Orianna play. So I'm hoping that Selivar plays Orianna again, because Orianna's actually really strong against kind of Ocelot's stable of mids. It's really easy to sit back and farm as Orianna, and it makes it really hard for Ocelot to aggress onto her. And just, every time we saw, even in the first game that Acer beat MOM1, the one you and I cashed at the start of the day, every time they tried to gank Orianna, the gank just got turned around, and that's what Orianna is so strong at doing. I think that would be really, really strong for them against Ocelot wanting to get so aggressive in the middle.
So you think we might see a Orianna ban coming out in this?
If SK is afraid of it, yeah, obviously, but Orianna's not your typical ban. There's a lot of key things that a lot of these teams want to hit. We're still on the Jace patch, so there's Urgot's really strong. We saw Shen dominated when he got through in the first game. A lot of teams still like banning Malphite as well, so there's a lot of kind of necessity bans, so it makes it fairly difficult for these teams to target bans. So I'm guessing that we won't see an Orianna ban. Just happens.
And as we see, first ban for SK Orianna. They want nothing to do with that Orianna from Celiver. So scary. And Acer responds with the Gragas ban. I guess they were a little bit scared of that Ocelot play in that game 1. He was pretty scary. He was landing some pretty solid ultimates.
So yeah, all right, there are a lot of necessity bans, but apparently there is still room for the targets there. We see Orianna and Gragas coming out bans right away. Those were the target bans, so to speak. Orianna against Celiver's mid lane, and then Gragas for Ocelot as well. Going down the list, Karthus is also kind of a power ban in a lot of ways. SK's obviously done their scouting on Celiver. He probably plays a lot of Karthus, but aside from that, Karthus is just ubiquitously good in the middle lane, and that's not a very surprising ban there.
Yeah, Karthus with that ultimate being able to deal that extra damage and help convert those ganks a lot more cleanly. And the Urgot ban from Acer, as we mentioned, Urgot extremely strong in this patch with the swap, being able to get a potential carry out of position, and SK responding with the Kale. Kale, really strong top lane, able to really bully people in that early game.
We saw a Kale ban in the last game from, I believe it was Curse as well, so that's a common ban against Acer. SK definitely doing their homework there. Now we're through the banning phase. Really, the first pick for SK right now, I have to make this a wild card, and they'd lock in the Nunu. I really like that because it mainly takes it away from Acer. Nunu's been an extremely strong pick throughout this entire tournament, jungle or support.
Yeah, and you mentioned Malphite. Malphite was the last ban, and Arane actually plays a ton of jungle Nunu, so he's really comfortable in that character, and Nunu also being able to run that support. So grabbing him as a first pick, they don't really know where he's going to go. However, my money's on jungle.
Thinking back here as well, Acer actually lost to Vladimir last game. They're locking him up right away here in the second. Vladimir is one of those characters that can go in mid lane or in top lane. And I mean, last game we saw it bottom lane, but that was a bit of an odd circumstance. So really versatile first few picks here. We talked earlier about Corki being just a generally strong AD carry. You can't really go wrong with a Corki pick. There's nothing that really counters him. He has a very burst-heavy, strong, like range poke. He really has everything an AD carry could want. And then as far as that, Vladimir being able to go to either lane leaves their options open as the pick ban phase continues.
Yeah, and we actually saw Pookie style on Corki with the Janna in game 1 against Meet Your Maker, and Pookie style was terrifying. He was able to dominate early against a Graves lane, which is typically considered pretty standard, a little bit safer, as well as just being able to farm out, and Pookie style made sure that he had none of that. And it looks like we have a Kog'Maw coming out as well as a Yorick pick. Nope. Got trolled a little bit. It's going to be a Maokai.
So this is actually locking down some of the positions for SK. Now that they have the Maokai, it is most likely that Maokai is going to be in the jungle since you don't see much Maokai support. That'll make a Nunu support, Maokai jungle, and most likely a Yorick in the top lane. So that just means that SK leaves their 2 solo lanes open to be picked, and that makes a lot of sense for them. They got rid of a bit of deception when they did, take away the fact that Nunu could go in either place, but now they get to see the Kennen and Vladimir, know that those are most likely the solo lanes for Acer, and then pick their top and mid. They're going to have to pick their top and mid to go against Kennen or Vladimir because both Kennen and Vladimir can swap around. So Acer actually having a very versatile comp here. I want to see how SK responds to those 2 picks.
Yeah, that Kennen-Vladimir combination, really versatile,
really
as you had mentioned. Yeah, very popular. They both have those area of effect ultimates that they're going to be able to chain together. And Pookie style grabbing Alistar, so we could very likely see an Alistar bottom lane as well as jungle. We've seen a ton of jungle Alistar this game, particularly from Maluna, who really enjoys those Boots of Mobility Alistar ganks. And looks like we have Aranite sitting on Kassadin. Will he lock it in? It would be really interesting to see a Kassadin mid.
Going back to that Kennen Vladimir as well, that's a team composition that those 2 champions combo very well together. The main thing is Vladimir can put down his ultimate, draw a bunch of aggro in the middle of the team, and as soon as he pops into his pool of blood, everyone just is attracted to wanting to go on top of that thing to finish him off when he reses, but that's when Kennen pops in, ults everything, and tries to finish it off. So there we have SK's final picks here. Kog'Maw to go with the Nunu, and then Anivia in the mid lane, a favorite of Froggen that is starting to be picked up by some of these other teams.
Yeah, absolutely. Looks like Ocelot's going to be using that Anivia. Anivia is so strong at just being able to not only clear waves, but have that map control, especially in those jungle paths with that wall, being able to really cut off any escapes and potentially single out some members of Acer.
So this is going to be really difficult for Acer here. They now need to pick their support. The problem with this is SK's picked the Kog'Maw. There is so much to protect the Kog'Maw and so much to ramp that Kog'Maw up. They have a duplicate of Kog'Maw if they need with Yorg. Nunu is one of the best supports for protecting AD carries. Maokai is one of the most difficult tanks to get through. And then we have Anivia who just puts down slow fields with a wall. So if Kog'Maw does not get shut down, he's just going to individually kill everyone on Acer. I really like this composition by SK. They have a ton of great protection for two extremely potent damage dealers in Anivia and Kog'Maw.
Yeah, and as we see the swaps going down, something else that we didn't mention is that Vladimir and Kennen primarily magic damage, and that Maokai ultimate is going to negate a ton of that. So Maokai is going to potentially be able to drop his ultimate on top of Kog'Maw and just let him have at it.
So the thing with what Acer's composition is trying to do, this is a double AP comp, and what those generally do is they take a lot of people low, and then Corki's supposed to come in and clean up. And what's been popular to pick against that in the past is the Maokai, since his 20% damage reduction ult that he can put down in the zone is generally a large enough zone that you can soak up all of the enemy team's AoE in. So it's a really popular and smart pick for SK to pick Maokai against that composition. It's just a matter of whether Maokai will be able to withstand LoL Pro's counter jungling on Shyvana.
Yeah, it'll be really interesting to see. LoL Pro, a lot of success in that first game with that jungle Shyvana. And it looks like we're going to have bottom lane Yellowstar on Kog'Maw with Nif. That Kog Nunu lane, super strong, going up against the Alistar Corki lane. A lot of CC, a lot of early aggression in the jungle. Arane on Maokai, facing off against Shyvana. LoL Pro picking up that Shyvana with that Smite Exhaust. Middle lane, we're going to be seeing Anivia versus either Vladimir or Kennen. They will potentially be able to flip-flop. And then top lane, once again, either Vladimir or Kennen going up against that Yorick. Such a difficult lane to push out.
So I really want to pay attention to what Shyvana does early. When you bring Exhaust on a jungler, that is just a signal for extreme early aggression. What happens a lot of these times, especially now that they're a purple team from the top side of the map here, is Shyvana will take red early and then potentially try to gank York at level 2. If you put the Exhaust down, a lot of time they can combo through and just kill him through a flash escape. So I cannot wait to see what they start off with in this game.
Yeah, and I can't wait to see this match. Overall, SK versus Acer, winner going to the semifinals. Let's do this. And it seems like both teams starting off middle, a couple pings going down around Team SK's Wraiths. We could potentially see some early aggressive warding from Acer. We saw that in game 1, and it looks like SK is grouping up. Super A's a little bit out of position.
Oh, man.
Does ward, however, great snare from Arane. Will Super A's be able to get out of this? Great pulverize. However, SK in hot pursuit, Pookie style, getting a ton of damage out on Arane. That was a great snare, forcing the flash and the pulverize out from Alistar, but it looks like SK is just going to back off for now.
Alistar fairly lucky to escape with his life there. He did get the ward down, and also he managed to spot SK's ward, so he knows exactly where SK's vision revolves now. The only problem with that is, no flash for the Alistar as the support, and they might be doing a bit of creative stuff here. We see Alistar actually coming up into the top of the jungle. Whether he's just here for support or whether he's looking to do something sneaky with the lanes is yet to be seen.
Yeah, Alistar actually starting with boots rather than the typical support fairy charm.
He might be roaming or something.
Yeah, he could potentially be roaming or just looking for that extra mobility. It'll be exciting to see if they're going to be going for a 1v2 lane. Corki potentially having a little bit of trouble with the 1v2 lane, but it'll be exciting to see nonetheless. Alistar, such a mobile champion with so much crowd control.
Yeah, unfortunately for Arane there, he used his snare at level 1 with Twisted Advance. Normally the start for Maokai is you stack saplings on top of your jungle for a fast clear, but since he wanted to get that level 1 engagement, he was unable to do that, which means his early jungle is actually substantially slower now, as you see Ocelot giving him a lot of help on Wolves.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see.
Acer here with 5 men. They're looking to invade, and they show just a little too soon.
Yeah, the stun going off onto Celiver, and however, it looks looks like Acer's still going to be able to invade that blue, even though the stun went off. As you said, Maokai doesn't have the sapling, so he's not going to be able to jungle as fast. Ocelot trying to make something happen, but great early aggression from Acer that we keep talking about. LoL Pro picking that blue up.
Really good blue steal. I really love the delayed blue steal. That's what a lot of people have been doing lately. People scout their jungle very early on, but then they go disperse their lanes because they want to be there when the minions clash. So what teams are doing now is they're waiting till the last second to go in, back when everyone has dispersed to their lanes, and they're able to get things like that blue steal we just saw.
Yeah, and it looks like Super A's finally heading bottom. However, great ward from Nif, so he's going to see him coming down. It looks like the lanes have settled in as a little bit of early aggression coming down from Yellowstar onto Pookie style. Celiver mid against Ocelot. Celiver on that cannon. How do you feel that lane's going to match up?
As far as Anivia lanes go, Anivia does not generally get aggressive until level 6, or really doesn't hit her stride until that she gets that ultimate. So Kennen should do his best to bully here. He's in a really good advantage here because Ocelot actually pushed a little bit early, which means if his lanes get a little bit out of control, Kennen will be able to harass through that. And here we have Shyvana coming in from behind. This could be a very potent gank if Ocelot goes a little bit farther forward.
Yeah, Shyvana has that red buff, so if she's able to get a hit, and there she is, the speed boost going out, lightning rush, and the exhaust. Flash on Ocelot.
They need to egg him before he gets into the tower.
Will they be able to egg him? No, they will not. He gets out with a sliver of health, and the ignite goes down onto LoL Pro. LoL Pro also getting out with such little life, and a great turnaround from Ocelot on that 2v1.
Really close play there by Ocelot. The problem with that is, though, he burned his flash and his ignite, and Shyvana just burned the exhaust. So if Shyvana goes back to base and then loops around again, and Ocelot is still pushed up in his lane, it'll be a kill for sure. Because even though Ocelot didn't burn his egg, he's extremely low health. So if they egg him outside the tower, it's no problem to finish him off in the lane. As we see a bit of counter jungling there by Erne up top. But that was actually a very successful gank by LoL Pro. Potentially disastrous because he almost died, but since he didn't, it's good as a gank goes on up top.
Yeah, 760 actually flashing into Erne. He drops extremely low. Will he be able to get him? Yes, he will, and that's a first blood for Team SK. Great gank from Erne.
Yeah, that was actually really sneaky. I forgot to comment on that. As he saw the Shyvana got extremely low, he knew that it was now safe to jungle invade or take whatever path he wants for a gank. That gank wouldn't have worked if he came up from the river, but the fact that he was able to come in behind from the triangle brush and just kind of flank Vladimir and give him no escape paths was why that gank was so successful.
Yeah, and speaking of aggression, Shyvana grabbing the enemy wraiths,
yeah,
sort of giving RNA a taste of his own medicine. Ocelot trying to grab that blue wraith, but to no avail. So LoL Pro already trying to put a lot of pressure on this SK jungle.
The ward caught LoL Pro right as it was dying, so Ocelot knew exactly where Shyvana was. That was just him counter jungling Maokai because he just saw Maokai top. But unfortunately, the ward was dying, so he cannot get around for the gank on Ocelot, though. Even though Ocelot is up super far, they might get a kill here. Yeah, looking mid lane. There's the lightning rush and the ignite going down. LoL Pro going in, but not going to be able to make it happen. Celiver dropping to about 50% health. He's going to have to burn a couple of those mana potions, and they are really trying to shut Ocelot down in this game. Looking up top lane, too, even though Vladimir had given up the early kill, he shoved that into the tower. Kevin is level 5, Vladimir is level 3, so him being up there is immensely dangerous as he just gets harassed down by Kevin's ghouls. He's just... Oh, I think Maokai actually got seen by that ward, so Vladimir has now a sense of security. He can just continue to push to his heart's content, and good ward there to see Maokai allowing Vladimir to play aggressive. Yeah, absolutely. 760, a little bit behind, 24 minion kills to Kevin's 36, but Yorick, such a strong farmer, and as you mentioned, 760 doing his best to put pressure on that Yorick lane. So actually take a look now at all of the wards that SK has in their inventory. When they get ahead a little bit early game with those early kills, what a lot of the good teams do is just put that money towards map control, and you can really just see there a ward on Maokai already. I think Anivia had 2. Yes, he's placed wards on both sides of his mid lane, so he had to burn his flash early. Now he's warding both sides so he can continue to just farm up against this cannon. Yeah, Ocelot definitely aware of the fact that LoL Pro really wants to kill him, or at least pop that egg. And Ocelot just hit level 6, so we could potentially see some aggression in that mid lane. And we see Erne now going towards his blue buff. There's a lot of pings going down as everyone just moves towards their wards. I'm wondering where the next stint of action is going to be. And actually, we have Erne looking up top. They're going to try to shove this lane far enough so that he can sneak into a brush. But he has to just wait here until the lane gets to that point. Kevin needs to hurry up and push this lane. Yeah, meanwhile, bottom lane, Super A's was actually able to get Niv out of position, drop him to about 50%. So Pookie Style and Super A's potentially looking to make something happen in this bottom lane. Yeah, with the new cog, that that lane doesn't actually ramp up for quite some time. So it's actually Corki and Alistair's huge aggression here. We might see 2 ganks at a time here because Maokai's in the top rush and Sylvana's in the bottom one, so there's going to be a lot of action.
Yeah, there's the snare going down onto 760. He's going to be able to get onto the tower. Meanwhile, bottom lane, Exhaust going down onto Yellowstar and Pookie-style. However, Pookie-style's going to be able to pick up Nif. Great play from Pookie-style and that hyper-aggressive bottom lane.
I was actually watching top lane. Vladimir was just able to kind of pull away from the Maokai gang, so that was completely unsuccessful. Then Maokai walked through a ward, so that was just a big win for Acer because SK's gank failed terribly and Acer's gank resulted in a kill of Nif.
Yeah, that was also great early harass from Super A's and Pookie-style because they got Nif down to about 50%, and then they were ready for the gank when LoL Pro came in.
They really have to just be extremely careful in this Nunu Kog'Maw lane. There's not much early protection Nunu can offer Kog, and they get harassed down very easily by such an aggressive lane like Alistair and Corki. So surprisingly, after that death, the fact that Kog'Maw was actually up 7 minion kills means they're playing that lane very, very well because Acer definitely has the early game composition advantage in that bottom lane.
Yeah, and taking a look at the items, actually, it looks like Selver on that Kennen is grabbing a blasting one, so he's not going to be going for that Hextech Revolver, instead potentially going for just a little bit more flat harass. Meanwhile, Ocelot picking up that Chalice of Harmony, just going to be able to cycle his skills that much more, and Nif, he did die, but he was able to pick up the Philosopher's Stone as a result of it, so small consolation prize. Meanwhile, Yellow Star grabbing those double Dorans, so pretty even. Yellow Star 62 minion kills to Super A's and Pookie-style's 55, but we see a lot of action going down bottom. Pookie-style extremely low, and Yellow Star starting to ramp up a little bit.
Those item purchases are actually very typical of how that lane is playing. So Ocelot is not really doing any harassment whatsoever on Kennen and is actually just trying to farm and be defensive. So he has a Chalice of Harmony to take down Kennen's damage and to give himself more mana to farm, whereas Kennen is not worried about harass whatsoever, so wants larger poke damage in middle as we see Alistair jump in and try to get a kill on the Yellow Star. They're just pushing them right out of that lane.
Yeah, Yellow Star still being aggressive, even though he's extremely low, forcing the flash from Pookie-style. So Yellow Star and Nif really not giving any ground, and RNA coming in and Ocelot potentially roaming. We could definitely see a tower dive.
They're going to dive if they can.
And here comes Ocelot coming in. The flash through the wall. Will he be able to get a wall down to be able to contain them? The stun could go out. There's the wall, and there's the ult, and there's the kill. Fantastic play from Ocelot as Selver pops his ultimate. Oh, to drop, to push RNA out of position. We could potentially see there's the stun. Selver dropping a ton of pain down on RNA, but it looks like SK is going to be able to grab this blue.
Shyvana actually smiting it over the wall. They had good vision of it, and there was no smite ready from RNA. They had no idea that Shyvana was on the other side. So really good patience there, camping on the other side and getting that smite off. Overall, though, really good roam there by Ocelot. I didn't think he was going to be able to catch, but he knew exactly what range his wall was going to be and exactly how fast he was moving, able to barely cut off that Alistair and give SK that early 2-1 kill lead.
Yeah, there was such patience in that wall where he took a long time to make sure he was perfectly in range, and it's showing on the scoreboard. Almost 10 minutes, 30 seconds, and SK is in the lead. 13,000 gold to 11,500. 2 kills to 1. No towers down yet. However, SK's starting to pull ahead.
Yeah, and the thing with this is SK's actually had much more passive overall play, yet they're still the ones with the early advantage. So that just bodes very well for them as the game progresses. Ocelot with the 1 kill already on Anivia. Kennen not able to put the harass down, has been able to get 17 million kills ahead of him, but with that kill, you know, that just takes the gold lead right away. And once they get Nunu, Kog, Yorick just rolling in team fights, Yellow Star is going to just be crushing. So the fact that SK is not getting shut down early means it's going to be extremely hard to shut them down late.
Yeah, it'll be really interesting to see what Ocelot is going to be able to do. He grabbed the Mana Crystal and the Ruby Crystal, so we could potentially see a Catalyst in his future. Definitely going to be building a ton of mana. And it looks like Yellow Star has actually picked up a Vampiric Scepter, so really looking to sustain in this lane that has already shown that it has a ton of harass.
And we saw earlier that Alistair started with boots, but he's still yet to complete a Philosopher's Stone or Heart of Gold, even though Nunu already has his Philosopher's Stone and now 4 wards for extra map control. So that early kind of gambit of Alistair not getting the early GP10 has not paid dividends since he wasn't really able to create any action and is falling behind in gold.
Yeah, and also if you're looking top lane, Kevin on Yorick, 97 minion kills. He's finished his Mana Moon to Vladimir's 71 minion kills. Vladimir does have his Revolver. However, However, Kevin's really going to be able to start bullying Vladimir around, although Vladimir fairly strong once he hits that level 9.
Yeah, I have to say, actually, 760's done a really good job of staying in that lane. He died very early on to that Maokai gank, so the fact that he hasn't been straight up bullied out of the lane by Kevin means he's actually playing that lane really smartly. Aaron is going to try to sneak into that brush, but the minion is going to see him if Kevin doesn't clear it, and he's just going to have to walk away to a different gank.
Yeah, and Blue Ping's going down. Once again, that ward coverage.
No, he's going to go into that ward again.
Will he be able to get it? Yeah, he will. He will be able to jump into this brush. Great clearing from Kevin, and I would be really interested to see if Aaron is going to dive this.
Yeah, this is really curious because Vladimir has heal, flash, and pull up. They have to really harass him down, and if they tower dive, they have to be ready to stay there for a while. So if they're willing to tower dive this, they have to be in it for the long run. I think they're going. No,
yeah.
They're just going to zone him off the tower.
Yep, and it looks like Kevin trying to put that harass down. Aaron A has that red buff. However, it doesn't look like he's going to use it unless 760 gets in range. However, looks like 760 is just stalling a little bit. As LoL Pro comes in, this could very quickly turn into a dangerous situation for SK. Kevin staying in, trying to put some harass down. Meanwhile, Yellowstar and Nif picking up those golems, getting that extra farm. Yellowstar is at 110 minion kills to Corky's 101, so he's a little bit ahead. However, Celiver ultimate going down onto Ocelot, Ignite going down as well. Will he be able to pop that egg? No, he will. Yes, he will. There's the egg.
It's in the tower, though, so there's really not much he can do on it. All he ended up doing is burning his Ignite and his ult for a passive proc out of Ocelot. So really smart by Ocelot there, and Celiva not able to really pull any advantages. It's kind of just how this whole game has been going for Acer. They are so close to pulling something off, but then they don't, and then SK gets another advantage off it. Like this dragon. Kennen has no ult, no Ignite. Ocelot's full health because he got egged in the tower. Now they take a dragon.
Yep, and Ocelot is going to be able to potentially zone any Acer aggression on this dragon. SK looks like they're going to be able to take this dragon uncontested.
Yep.
And however, it looks like LoL Pro is going to try and put some aggression on that mid lane with Celiver. However, Kevin continuing to aggress Celiver extremely low.
They're trying to cut off Shyvana here. They know exactly where she went into the jungle, but will they be able to catch her as she runs up? She's going to ult over the wall.
Yeah, but Aaron is going to follow, getting the snare down. Ocelot going to follow. There's the wall. Fantastic wall. And will they be able to slow him down? Great flash from Ocelot, and there's the drop. Kevin's actually going to pick up the kill for LoL Pro, and that is a double kill for Kevin, and that is going to be a scary top lane as Yellowstar runs away from that Super Ace Pookie Styles lane. He's going to be able to get away. However, Pookie Styles able to pick up Nif in that exchange.
Yeah, Alistair and Corky finally caught Kog'Maw and Nunu outside of their tower, and they were able to punish them for that. Really a great job, actually, thus far by Yellowstar. Despite the fact they're down 2 kills, that they haven't lost this lane yet, and that Yellowstar's actually up in minion kills just shows how strong he's been doing. And yeah, you can see Corky's yet to be Kog'Maw's yet to power up because Corky just crushes him in duels. It's going to be a bit more time before Kog'Maw's able to take over.
Yeah, and Pookie Style and Super is showing just how aggressive they want to be. Pookie Style actually going between towers to drop Yellowstar extremely low and forcing him to back. So they really want to take this lane to Yellowstar and Nif.
An interesting build here, actually, by Yorick. He's got a Hex Drinker and a Manamune, and then a Null Magic, so he's really just building to counter up against that Vladimir. Lots of magic resist, really starting to turn on that full bully. So we saw the early gank they received in a kill. Then the next gank, the one that zoned Vladimir off the tower, even though it didn't result in a kill, was actually an extremely successful gank because they denied Vladimir about a wave and a half of creeps. And that is one of the reasons Yorick, or Kevin on Yorick, is getting that far ahead of Vladimir, and I think he's just going to continue to bully until that tower falls.
Yeah, and speaking of interesting builds, looking at Kennen mid, Celiver's actually picked up an Abyssal Scepter as his first item. What do you think about that item pickup?
Yeah, this is actually what a lot of Vladimir Kennen comps do. There's 2 really good items that both of them want access to, and they're Abyssal Scepter and Will of the Ancients. Vladimir already has a Hextech Revolver, so he's going to be Will of the Ancients, and then the Abyssal Scepters for Kennen. So when they get in the team fights, once they have those items, they'll be getting the magic debuff from the Abyssal Scepter as well as a Spell Vamp from Woda. So that's really a common pick for the Vlad Kennen matchups. It just alternates who builds which one depending on who has the easier lane matchup.
Yeah, and as we see Aaron A picking up that red buff, another great ward from Acer that actually were some red pings going down, so they know where Aaron A is at this moment, and just for both teams, incredible map coverage with these wards.
And that's kind of turning this into a very strange game. SK is the one that should be more concerned with having the heavy map coverage because they're the ones actually kind of sitting back and farming. All of the aggression by Acer has actually been turned around on them for an SK advantage. So it's really just good play by, that's actually kind of how Nivea works in a lot of ways. She's very good at turning around opponents' aggression, and that's really how Ocelot's been playing her.
Yeah, and top lane, Kevin seeing 760 in the jungle. However, this is a 1v2 situation. Kevin could be in a little bit of trouble. He does drop the slow. However, the Chemoplate going down. He gets exhausted. However, he has been cloned, and he will probably just be able to walk out of this because he's Yorick.
Really impressive. So I was just going to say that as soon as Kevin tries to get aggressive, he gets in a whole bunch of trouble. And now there are 3 Acer members up in the top lane. They're looking to either kill Kevin or just straight up take this tower. They're trying to make something happen.
Yeah, Kevin able to walk out of that safely. However, not without consequence.
Yeah,
as
bottom lane, they're
Lolpro,
taking a tower
Silver.
as well.
Yeah, so it's going to be a 1-for-1 tower trade. Top going down for SK, but SK being able to respond with that bottom. And Ocelot pushing up mid.
Yeah, so a lot of split pushing going on here. It looks like they're going to try to continue to push on Acer, and Kevin can't stand at this tower either, so they should get a second tower. And they're actually diving in onto Kevin. The Kennen ult, the Shyvana ult, and the Vladimir killing Kevin, and they will be able to take this tower. So a strong play. Going to end up trading that mid tower to Ocelot, however.
Yeah, great flash ultimate from Selver. Kevin getting a little bit too close, and as you mentioned, he wouldn't be able to take all 3 of them down, and they punished him almost immediately.
Yeah, at the end of the day, that's not the worst thing that could have happened to Kevin. They managed to burn multiple ultimates off of Acer, and they were able to get the mid tower. And if I had to choose between getting the second top lane tower down or the first mid lane tower, I would pretty much always want the first mid lane tower. It just creates so much access to all of Acer's jungle. So the fact that Ocelot was able to get that, I actually think it was worth the trade.
Yeah, and looking at the score at the 18-minute mark, SK in the lead, 25,600 gold to 22,300 gold, 4 kills to 3. Towers are dead even. However, SK is looking really strong as Ocelot has actually just finished his Rod of Ages.
Yeah, so the big move here for Acer now is once Vladimir finishes that Will of the Ancients, which he has yet to complete, their team fighting is going to be at its peak because they will have the 2 ore items for both Kennen and Vladimir. They need to pretty much pounce then, because if they let Yellowstar get too late, it's going to be really bad for them. So I think as soon as Vladimir gets that Will of the Ancients, which they need to get to very soon, it's probably going to sync up fairly well with the next Dragon being up. I'm hoping Acer goes down and tries to 5v5 SK, because if they don't do it then they're going to fall behind and probably lose.
Yeah, especially considering Yellowstar has gotten that BF sword as well as that pickaxe, so he is building well into his Infinity Edge, and a fed and farmed Kog'Maw is a very scary Kog'Maw. So it'll be interesting to see if Yellowstar is going to continue to be able to get farmed. Meanwhile, Selver has actually picked up double Amplifying Tome, so we could potentially see a double Will of the Ancients.
They'll be going for the double Woda eventually, but it's really just a matter of getting the first ones out early so they can win their initial team fights. Because if they can win the initial team fights on that very AoE-focused team, they can kind of snowball it into the rest of the game. As this Dragon's about to spawn, they don't have the Will of the Ancients yet on Vladimir, so Kennen has to go into this fight without any spell vamp. This is going to be a really close game.
Yeah, and Vladimir a little bit out of position in this Acer, so let's see who Arene is going to initiate on. All of SK is here as well as all of Acer, so this could potentially be a knockdown drag-out fight for this Dragon.
Ocelot's going to want to wall something off, or Arene is going to have to get a good initiate. SK is actually fine trying to let Acer engage on them because they have very good counter initiation. Trying to walk through an Anivia and Maokai is one of the most difficult things to do in a team fight, so SK actually just waiting for Acer to go into them. They're waiting for Acer to either pull the Dragon and have the aggro, then go in, or they're waiting for Acer to try to jump on them. This is how SK is playing this fight.
Yeah, and there's the Dragon aggro, so Acer going to try and make this happen. Pookie does have that Sheen and that Fade, so he's going to be able to make something happen. However, let's see if SK, there's the wall from Ocelot, getting a ton of pain down on Lolpro. There's Celeber with the counter initiate. However, he is exhausted, and the Maokai ultimate. Celeber's going to be able to pick up Arene. However, Yellowstar is going to respond, taking out Celeber, but Corki, Pookie taking out Yorick, and wow, incredible play from SK. Double kill from Yellowstar. Pookie trying to make something happen, but he gets caught. That's a triple kill for Yellowstar. And
SK got exactly what they
Kog'Maw.
wanted in that fight. SK managed to get the perfect counter initiation. You saw when Kennen and Vladimir flew in, that was exactly where RNA had decided to place his Maokai ultimate. So you see all those SK players at about 20% health. If that fight would not happen in that exact spot, they would all be dead and Acer would be in control of this game. And they also engaged at just the wrong time for Acer because the Dragon was alive that entire time, hitting Shyvana over and over again, essentially taking her out of that fight. So a perfectly positioned fight for SK, exactly what they wanted, and now they have a fairly large lead.
Yeah, 21 minutes in, 31,800 gold for SK as compared to 25,400 gold for Acer. 7 kills to 5, 3 towers to 2, and a Dragon. So really great play, especially from Yellowstar. And as you mentioned, that Maokai ultimate was so clutch to negate the ultimates from both Kennen and Vladimir.
I really have to say that team fight was all about just SK's team positioning, and even though Yellowstar was the one to pick up 3 kills, he was pretty much just doing his job. Everyone else set up that fight so well for him and allowed him to pick up those kills. Kog'Maw is nothing without protection, so the fact that they were not able to get onto Kog'Maw and kill him was just why he was able to pick up those 3 kills.
Yeah, and it looks like Yellowstar has just picked up his Infinity Edge, and he is going to be building into that Phantom Dancer, and once he gets that Infinity Edge Phantom Dancer combination, he is going to be able to melt people pretty fast.
So the great thing about Nunu Cog as well, though, is the amount of attack speed that Blood Boil gives. So the fact that Yellowstar has it right now as they jump in onto Kennen, I don't think they'll get him. The fact that he has the Infinity Edge with the Blood Boil means he's almost at IEPD without even getting it.
Yeah, and Celiver dropping extremely low. He's going to get, he dropped his ult, but Yellowstar far too strong at this point. 4-0-1, 164 minion kills. He has that Infinity Edge, and he is showing the power of that item.
So it only actually took 22 minutes for Kog'Maw to turn into an unstoppable killing machine, which is slightly faster than normal. And that was just because of the triple kill he picked up in that fight earlier. It's really, really bad for Acer at this point. There is such an amazing peel team on SK, and the only thing they wanted this entire game was to get Kog'Maw fed. And the fact that they were able to do it this early means that all they have to do for the rest of this is just protect the Cog. They can play as patiently as they want. The emphasis is on Acer to get to Kog'Maw, and that is what SK is built to defend against. So this is just really, really good for SK.
Yeah, and Kog'Maw actually, with that kill, just picked up his Zeal. So he is motoring towards that Phantom Dancer, and SK with almost an 8,000 gold lead, as it looks like they're potentially setting up for this Baron.
Yeah, so SK realizes how strong Kog'Maw is right now, and there's still no Will of the Ancients on Acer, so their teamfight potential still isn't max. I have to question that Haunting Guy's pick on Vladimir. He could have finished that Will of the Ancients, and they really need the teamfight presence at this point. So what SK is doing right now, they have the Oracles on Nif. They know how strong they are. Acer is kind of forced into constantly checking Baron, and SK eventually is going to get either a good Anivia wall or a good Maokai route, and they're just going to force back and forth on this Baron until they either get it by Acer conceding it, or they get a team fight when Acer tries to stop them.
Yeah, meanwhile, Kevin actually picking up a Spirit Visage, so he's going to have so much more sustain in these fights, as well as Maokai grabbing that Aegis of the Legion, so there's just so much survivability, so much sustain, and so much peel, as you had mentioned, just keeping Yellowstar alive and just allowing him to melt this team single-handedly.
Yeah, and that Aegis of the Legion is one of the most important items you can pick up against Ken and Vladimir. The aura magic resist that item gives on top of the Maokai 20% damage reduction just takes Acer's damage down so far. It really actually puts the emphasis onto Corki to be able to clean up things. But comparing Corki to a Nunu Cog just really isn't a fair comparison at this point. I really have to give the edge to SK based on smart team comp, smart play, and smart item choices.
Yeah, and at this point, Nif is basically permanently blood-boiling Yellowstar, and with that Zeal, he is hitting so hard and so fast. And there's the wall, singling out LOLpro. Will the stun go off? No, LOLpro will be able to get out of there with that speed boost. However, Yellowstar getting some pain down. Will they engage? It looks like they're going to try and disengage. However, LOLpro is still out of position. RNA snaring him. There's the Maokai ult, but LOLpro counter-initiating. There's the Nunu ult. Exhaust going down onto Yellowstar. Celiver trying to make something happen. Great flash out from Yellowstar. However, he is cloned. He has a sliver of health left, and yet he is still fighting. He is able to get a double kill, and he is dropping Super Ace. Pookie style goes down as well, and Yellowstar trying to finish off 760. Nice. That's a double kill for Ocelot, a double kill for Yellowstar, and SK just building this lead.
That was an extremely close fight for SK, and it just goes to show how powerful that Vladimir Kennen can be. If they only just had a bit more strength, I swear if they had that Will of the Ancients, they would have won that fight. And it's just a matter of Yellowstar getting so much protection. You saw that York ult going down on him, so actually for a brief time, 2 Kog'Maws in that fight doing a whole bunch of damage. Great flash over the wall by Yellowstar, actually baiting all of Acer over the wall to chase him. And at the end of the day, that flash over the wall and then Acer's persistence at trying to finish off like a 5 health Kog'Maw really just allowed SK to run around the rest of the fight and clean up.
Yeah, and Yellowstar also showing the power of picking up that Vampiric Scepter, because he had a sliver of health when he flashed over that wall, and even then he was able to stay in the fight and just lifesteal back when he was going one-on-one with Super A's. So all credit to Yellowstar, as well as Ocelot being able to sort of sweep through and use that great positioning that we've seen from SK to sort of save Yellowstar, give him a bit of a respite instead of getting jumped on by the rest of the team.
Now, Kennen actually is the one who finishes the Will of the Ancients, so they do have on Acer both of the ore items that they need. Although, unfortunately, I think it's probably too late. They're now 26 minutes in. Kog'Maw has kind of hit critical mass at this point. If they don't finish him off immediately, he will just finish off Acer's entire team. SK is going right back to what got them here. They clear the Baron wards. They're actually just going to straight up try and do Baron, and I do not think Acer's going to be able to stop this.
Yeah, and look at the attack speed on Yellow Star. At 27 minutes, going for this first Baron, they're almost 10,000 gold ahead. There they are, more than 10,000 gold ahead. 13 kills to 7, 4 towers to 3, and that is Baron for SK, and they're just going to be able to push down these towers.
Yeah, as far as this pushing goes, actually, they could get in a bit of trouble. It's really hard to dive onto something like Ken and Vladimir because your whole team will potentially get CC'd. On top of that, SK has a very counter-initiation kind of control type team, so it's generally hard for them to push in. For them to be able to push in this game, either Nunu or Maokai needs to get a lot of armor so he can tank tower hits, and they just actually aren't quite there yet, so they're going to continue to build this advantage before they dive in. You see Kog'Maw is going to the top lane to get a whole bunch of those free creeps as their team takes up a dragon, so they're just slowly taking this game carefully because they can. They're already ahead, they have a better late game, and they're just playing this safe and smart.
Yeah, and looking at this gold, Kog'Maw, 10,861 gold to Corky's 8,600. That is a ridiculous lead, and Yellow Star really showing that advantage. He just finished his Phantom Dancer, so with the Blood Boil, he is going to be critting with that Infinity Edge, and he's also going to have so much attack speed that W dealing a percentage damage as well. And I would not be surprised to see Yellow Star absolutely melting Acer in the next fight.
It's really just a matter of they need to get to Kog'Maw, but they can't because SK has such good protection, and that has really been the story of this whole game is how well they protected Kog'Maw. And at this point now, you know, 13,000 gold difference, they still have that Baron buff. They might try to make something happen and take down the rest of these outer towers, but I'd be surprised if they're actually able to get inhibitors on this specific Baron push unless Acer gets caught out of position and dies before that tower is defensible.
Yeah, and it looks like SK is just cleaning out Acer's jungle. Looking at Ocelot's item, he just picked up his Rabadon's Death Cap, so he's going to be hitting even harder with that Rod of Ages. He's 3-0-6, 242 minion kills, and Anivia late game with a Rabadon's and a Rod of Ages and a fed Kog'Maw. That is going to be a really tough team to come back against.
Yeah, looking at the power of them, they obviously, Acer's no way they can defend that tower. I think they can defend this one for a little bit. If they don't, though, it's going to be lights out with how well Yellow Star tries to take this tower down, and this is going to be very interesting. This is kind of Acer's last chance at defending. If this tower falls, they're going to be in big, big trouble.
Yeah, and Yellow Star also showing the range of Kog'Maw when he has that W active, being able to put a lot of pain down on that top tower, and it looks like SK may go for something if they get this next minion wave.
SK was able to get half the tower there with the last push, so Acer cannot give this up without fighting. They will go in to fight on this wave if they can. If not, they're just giving up the game.
Yeah, and a great stun onto Selver to push him out of position. Arane jumping onto Lolpro, who popped his ultimate. Maokai dropping his ultimate as well. There goes the Hemo Plague. Yellow Star, however, in pretty safe. There goes the Yorick ultimate onto him. Selver dropping his ult right on top of Yellow Star. However, Yellow Star is res. He is just melting. Yeah, wow, and 760 going down right away. Ocelot with the triple kill. So Kog'Maw dropped, and Arane dropped as well. However, 5-for-2 exchange in favor of SK, and that's an inhibitor.
Yeah, it was actually a 5-for-3. The Yorick clone on the Kog'Maw gets him to die substantially after the fight, and that was just, what is Acer going to do here? They managed to get through the entire wave and finally get to that Kog'Maw, but oh wait, he had a Yorick ult and he's now doing damage for 10 more seconds.
Yeah, Selver actually dropping his ultimate on top of Yellow Star to try and make sure that he died, but as you said, SK, this team composition is designed to keep Kog'Maw alive as long as possible, even after he's dead.
So now 30 minutes, 30 seconds into the game, top inhibitor down, SK's back to the safe play. Their Baron buff still has a little bit left on it, but now that they have that first inhibitor, Kog'Maw actually picking up a Guardian Angel, so he's even more difficult to dive on top of. I like that choice because with Nunu Kog and the Zeke's Herald, he's really hitting hard enough. It's time for him to start getting some of those defensive capabilities. It's just really, really strong play by SK this entire time, and Acer needs to do something special to come back in this game.
Yeah, SK 53,500 gold to 37,400 gold for Acer. 18 kills to 10, 7 towers to 3. They have that Baron, they have the top inhibitor, and they're really just going to be able to continue to pressure Acer.
Looking at the item builds, actually, there's really just been a whole bunch of smart choices for all of SK.
Cog just got a Guardian Angel.
Yeah, really good for being able to hold off those divers on. It's just the Aegis of Legion very early from Maokai, the really huge amount of tankiness from York, because there's a lot of AoE that he needs to be able to live through as he's front-lagging for Cog. So the fact that he's picked up so many defensive items is really, really smart. And then just Zeke's Herald on top of Nunu to give Kog'Maw even more damage, and it's just all about protecting Cog. So they're not actually going for Ocelot, which is why he's able to build a Rabadon's Death Cap instead of the more defensive Anivia that you see someone like Froggen do. You know, sometimes he does Warmogs on Anivia. So it's just, they understand their team comp actually really well, and they're building for it.
Yeah, and speaking of Warmogs, Kevin actually grabbed a Warmog, so he is going full tank as SK sieges this tower. There really isn't a lot Acer can do. It'd be interesting to see if SK goes in for this initiate. If Celiver tries to jump onto Kog'Maw, it'll probably just pop his Guardian's Angel, so Acer really in a bit of a bind in terms of initiating these fights.
This is really tough. This is the same story as what happened on the last tower, except they're even farther behind this time. So there's actually super creeps pushing in for only one Nexus tower. Someone has to go back and deal with those creeps, and when they do, SK is going to push in and finish off this tower.
Yeah, and there's a flash pulverize from Super Raze. LolPro jumping in as well. Celiver dropping his ult. However, there's the Maokai ult and the Anivia ult. Celiver drops almost immediately. Kevin getting a double kill, triple kill. Actually, could this be a quadra? That is a quadra kill for Warmogs Yorick. Kevin, complete beast.
That's going to do it here. SK, everyone pitching in. I think everyone had a double or a triple kill at some point in that game as far as Kog'Maw, Anivia, and York go. So all of their big main damage dealers. Really strong play by SK, and they move on to tomorrow.
Yeah, great play by SK. Ocelot so solid on that Anivia, and Yellowstar terrifying on that Kog'Maw. So anyway, it looks like we're going to be heading back to the stage with Carmack to interview some of the players.
Yeah, I think we're going to see that in just a second, actually. Looking at some of these score screens, though, just they finally get the double will of the Ancients, but it was just too late for them.
Yeah, absolutely, especially with Yellowstar getting that Guardian Angel. He has that Vampiric Scepter, the Infinity Edge, and the Phantom Dancer. Just a real terror, that Kog'Maw. Anyway, it looks like in just a few minutes we'll be going down to the floor. Interesting choice before we go. Last thoughts on that Kevin build. Really interesting York build.
I have to say he pretty much just built for the lane and then built for team fights. Corki really wasn't that much of a threat that game. They had so much frontline from Maokai and Nunu to kind of push past him that all York had to do was worry about living through the Kennen ultimate and the Vladimir ultimate. And with, you know, Hex, Drinker, Spear, Visage, Merc Trends, and a Warmogs, there's no way he's dying to that AoE damage. So I actually really like that build.
Yeah, definitely. And Pookie Style trying to go for that Triforce Corki. He did get the Last Whisper as well as a Vampiric Scepter, but it just really wasn't enough damage, especially considering how many different ways SK had to keep Yellowstar alive.
I think that Last Whisper is a little bit forced. He was so wanting to not get zoned out by them that he decided to go for the Last Whisper.
All right, and it looks like we're going to be going on stage with Carmack, who has an interview with the players.
So Joe, we're here.
We are here, you correct.
Także wracamy. Zaprosimy tu na scenę. Let's welcome to the stage from SK Gaming for a short interview. Acer.
Ocelot, I'd say, well, I was sat right up there at the back, and all I could hear was you. You're happy with that win, right?
Oh man.
So, tak więc Joe mówi, że siedział na samej górze i tylko jedyne co słyszał to właśnie Ose.
I'm so happy, my team is so happy. It's like, man, it's like I know it's only go through group phase, but it's like a dream for me, for us, because we are working so hard, people cannot imagine. Even though we get so harassed by everybody, by the whole community, we get so harassed because we get people out and stuff. But at the end of the day, what do we do as a team is for the good of the team. And going through group phase is like, I cannot explain with words, but it's so good, man. Honestly, it's so good.
Jestem bardzo, bardzo szczęśliwy, czuję się fantastycznie. Dopiero wyszliśmy z grupy, ale to dla nas bardzo wiele znaczy z uwagi na to, że bardzo wiele osób nas zaczepia, a oni nie wiedzą, jak ciężko my pracujemy i to jest tak wspaniałe uczucie.
So you finished second in the group stage. Actually, Crs lost their last game to Meet Your Makers, but you lost to Crs, so you're second place through to the playoffs. Who would you rather play in that semi-final?
Tak więc krótkie pytanie, z kim wolałby zagrać w półfinale z tej drugiej grupy, która będzie grała za jakiś czas?
I hope Ocelot World Team.
I don't think you need to translate that part, but talk us through that story because a lot of people don't really know why Existence are called ocelotworld.net.
Tak więc wytłumacz, dlaczego Existence w tej chwili nazywa się ocelotworld.net.
Well, the thing is that everything happened in a window of 5 minutes. Existence, the ex-Existence team wasn't able to pay the trip and stuff, so it was like, Oslo, can you help us with Facebook and stuff for raising money? And there was no time for it. So I was like, I woke my mom from the siesta and said, Mom, I'm gonna do this. And my mom was like, if your heart says it, just do it. And as a grateful move, they used my name, basically. Like, it wasn't even the purpose of it, but it just happened, you know?
Tak więc ja dla tej mniejszości, która chyba nie rozumie, przetłumaczę jednak. Więc to stało się tak, że drużyna Existence nie była w stanie wysłać zawodników tutaj. Zapytali Ocelota o pomoc, czy na Facebooku da radę zrobić jakąś zbiórkę. Na to nie było czasu. Obudził mamę ze siesty, zapytał, czy to jest dobry pomysł. Mama powiedziała, jeżeli to w twoim sercu jest, to zrób. W takim wypadku właśnie stało się, zrobił, pomógł drużynie hiszpańskiej przybyć tutaj i będą grali dzięki niemu między innymi właśnie tu.
Well, Ocelot, I think I'll let you go and enjoy your second place in the groups and cool down because you look rather warm.
Yeah, definitely.
Let's do. We have lots of Ocelot fans here. Mamy wielu fanów Ocelota. There was an event last year here. We did a similar thing. Zrobimy falę dla Ose? Dobra, uwaga! Robimy tak. Fala jest od dołu do góry. Nie od prawej do lewej, tylko od dołu do góry. Ose wam da sygnał, kiedy zaczynać. So, we'll do a wave from the bottom to the top. Ose, you give the signal, okay? Tak więc wszyscy rączki do przodu. Rączki do przodu. I uwaga, i nie robimy głośnego U, tylko Ose, jak podskoczymy do góry, dobra? Uwaga, rączki do przodu, pamiętamy, zaczynamy z dołu, rączki do przodu, wszyscy, bardzo proszę. I szum teraz, szum na sali.
What is it? Okay, 3, 2, 1, come on!
Thank you, you guys are awesome. So we're going to have a short trailer now. After the trailer, there's going to be a 45-minute break until the next tournament game, until the next group. And jeśli jesteście tutaj, nie wychodźcie, jeszcze będą konkursy, tak? Więc warto zostać na sali.